Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roll Together. Thank you for joining us at twitch.tv/D&D and twitch.tv/RollTogetherRPG. I am George. I will be your DM for the next round about 3 hours. And the six of us have gathered around the virtual table to play some Dungeons & Dragons. For the uninitiated or otherwise just slightly baffled, D&D is a tabletop role-playing game. Each of the 5 people arrayed around me will be playing a character in a shared story. I, on the other hand, as the ominously titled Dungeon Master, will be embodying the rest of that world. Loosely speaking, I describe the places, events, scenarios, people, and so on that the characters encounter. The players decide how their characters react, and we all see what happens next. Sometimes we are called upon to roll dice. I say we are called upon. Sometimes I will call upon us to roll dice. Most commonly, this will be a 20-sided dice, like so. Either I or one of the players will roll one of those and add, or occasionally in dire circumstances subtract, a modifier from their character sheet, which is kind of a summary of how their character works and the things they can do. Generally, high numbers on a dice roll are good, low numbers are bad, so feel free to celebrate or commiserate along with us accordingly. Normally, this is where we would have the players introduce themselves and their characters, but because this is the first session of a brand new campaign, we'll keep the characters shrouded in mystery for a little longer. So I'm just going to go round the... I'm going to keep saying table, around the table. You know what I mean. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. If you could give your name, your pronouns, if you would like to do so, and your darkest secret. No, just anything you want to share about yourself to introduce yourself to our lovely audience. Starting with, please, Niall.
Hello, my name is Niall. I use he, him. I'm everybody's favourite out-of-work actor. When I was younger, I killed a man with a hedgehog. I do little things. I love playing D&D. I've been playing D&D since sixth form, and all my friends play it, and we all play it together, and it's good fun. So this is a wonderful time to stretch my D&D legs and have fun with a load of creative and wonderful people. And it's great during the times when you are out of work, and you get to chill out and play this.
Play on the internet. Thank you. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I use she, her pronouns. I'm clearly everyone's second favourite out-of-work actor. I was an actor and musician when those jobs existed, and now I edit poetry and play D&D, and it's pretty good change. I started playing D&D about 4 years ago and haven't really looked back.
This is good. Thank you. Ed.
Hello, I'm Ed. I didn't know how far down the list I was going to be, but I'm obviously the third.
I'm going clockwise from my screen, yeah.
I also use he, him, and I am everyone's third favourite out-of-work actor. I live on a boat. Let's go with that. This is why it looks so weird behind me.
It's great. Get character building. Nat.
Hello, I am Nat, or Natalie. I use she, her pronouns. I'm no one's favourite out-of-work actor, voice actor. I'm an actor, voice actor, director. I specialise in doing video game voices and strange character voices. And I've been playing D&D for the last couple of years. I played a few one-shots way back in sixth form, and then I never had any friends to play with since until I just found people and adopted them as my friends, and now they can't get rid of me.
That is the power of D&D. And aggressively friending at people. It's great. G.
Hi, I'm G. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm not an out-of-work actor or actor of any sort. I'm an out-of-work theatre technician instead. I'm now trying to make art, digital art for Roll Together, and some comics and things that I'm writing. And
fantastic.
That's what I spend my time doing.
Amazing stuff.
Thank you very much. It is indeed. Yes, and I already introduced myself, but I'm George, and in case I missed it, I use he, him pronouns, and I am a writer and general thing doer, and sometimes now a DM on the internet. The stream today will run for a little under 3 hours. There'll be a break at roughly the halfway point, although we won't know exactly when that's going to be because this is all improvised. Before we get on to the playing of the D&D, we have to talk about some of our sponsors and lovely supporters. First up is Hero Forge, purveyors of quite fantastic custom miniatures for tabletop stuff. We've got miniatures for all the people here, but I'm going to keeping that under wraps for a second. So I've got up here a miniature from a previous campaign. This is Demiplane, the character playing Theros. You can see the lovely color miniature. on heroforge.com, you can build these incredibly intricate miniatures of your characters or NPCs or whatever you like. It supports a wide variety of different styles and game systems. It's not just the fantasy-heavy setting that tends to be quite common to D&D. You've got modern world stuff, science fiction, like clockworky, steampunky sort of things. Lots and lots of options. We've done a video with all the people here where we've built their characters together on HeroForge. So if you want to see the HeroForge build in action as well as seeing the results today, you can check those videos out on our YouTube channel, Roll Together RPG, and then head over to heroforge.com to build your own. Next up, there is UltraPro. UltraPro are all about the physical tabletop accessories. For D&D, that means you've got dice, including these lovely antique heavy metal dice that I'm using today, and some of the others. You've got some big chunky ones, lovely. You've also got like character sheet wallets, card sleeves if you use things like condition cards or spell cards. I've got a cupboard stash full of my Magic the Gathering cards all filed away in UltraPro card wallets and card sleeves. If you've got board games that use lots of cards and components, there's lots of useful organization stuff for that, which I'm a big fan of. You can find all of that and more on ultrapro.com. Thank you, UltraPro. Then we have our lovely supporters, D&D Beyond. We have somewhere, I'm not used to the layout yet, but there should be some, there should be the Twitch overlay with the character sheets for all the players' characters from today. Yeah, and lots of the notes and other things I'll be doing all through D&D Beyond, which is I completely converted to D&D Beyond a few years ago and have not looked back. It's been fantastic.
Me too.
Another supporter is Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. Again, it's a mystery. It's somewhere around us, orbiting us, it will be a chest code. I'd start at the corners and look around from there, and you'll probably, it's always easier if you start with the corners. But yeah, you can find Idle Champions chest code there. Thank you very much for your support. We're also supported by Level Up Dice. I have here these table shaker dice. So I have, this looks like a normal size D20 from this angle. This is a normal size D20. This is a bigger D20. And then these are the quite ridiculously big percentile dice, which are fittingly known as table shakers. If you see my camera shaking during today's stream, they're probably to blame.
That's why.
We are also happy to be supported by Zavvy.com. We are on lots of social media. We're on social media as Roll Together RPG pretty much everywhere. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, here on Twitch, Instagram as well. There we go. I think that's most of them. All that Roll Together RPG. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/rolltogetherrpg. Thank you to our fantastic D20 Club, who are our current supporters on Patreon. You can join them. You can get our newsletter and help support the show and build towards unlocking some new reward tiers and a community Discord server for Roll Together. Just pop over to patreon.com/rolltogether, and thank you to everyone for their support. Finally, we play with a diverse group of players who play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are trans-positive, and we encourage and champion trans players and characters in our games. The DM and players may portray characters that are of a different gender to their own. We aim to avoid misgendering, but acknowledge that it does sometimes happen. And we have a company policy in place for correcting people when we get pronouns wrong. If we do miss an incidence of misgendering, we're open to being corrected, so please just do let us know on social media or other places if you think we have missed something. And with that, we are finally ready to see what mysteries and adventures await in Seekers of Elturel Buried. Our story begins in Elturel, specifically the Elturel Athenaeum and Academy Arcane, known sensibly simply as the Athenaeum. It's famed as a preeminent seat of higher learning in the Forgotten Realms. It's home to some of the finest minds in Ferron, and it maintains a formidable collection of lore and knowledge in the form of tomes and many, many other things. Elturel as a city, though, has been through hell these past few years. Literally, it was literally dragged into Avernus and mercifully later freed and restored to its rightful place on the material plane. That is another story. Elturel, though, is a city that has been stubbornly, determinedly remaking itself after this major catastrophic event. Beneath the Athenaeum, which you can think of the Athenaeum as sort of a magical university. I think that's a good way of pitching it. Beneath the Athenaeum lies the Winterglass Collection. an eclectic trove of physical artifacts and oddities from the history of this plane and many others. It is curated by the somewhat eccentric, very eccentric, and quite elderly gnome Zancade Bright Eyes, who is known to just about everybody as Keeper Cade. And it is there, within the Winter Class collection, in Keeper Cade's office, that we'll start. Cade has called a meeting of a group of talented individuals who sometimes work for them, to help expand the collection and sort of run various retrievals, gathering them to hear about an important new expedition. So today is the day of that big meeting. So we'll be picking up first as I say, Cade's office, with Viorica. So Viorica, Cade has been letting you live at their largesse for a reasonable amount of time now. I think that's a fair way of putting it. They've even given you, they've assigned to you their rights to dine in the High Hall whenever you like, which they rarely use themselves, although last night, for probably the first time since you've been here, or certainly very, very rare occasion, they went along with you, and there was a lot of good food and fine wine. Cade is not an effusive person. They're quite reserved, and they don't give much away in the scheme of things, but you've got the sense from them they are quite apprehensive about what's coming up. So with the day after that, relatively early in the morning, in their office, which is a sort of, you can picture an average academic's office, which is that kind of organized chaos is probably giving them too much credit, but chaos. Like lots of papers and books. Some of it has been just cleared away, possibly in some kind of industrial form, to make space for a makeshift conference table, because this is the site of the meeting will be happening. So could you give us like an opening visual of Viorica? Does he have a headache from the what's earlier the night before? You've probably been roused slightly earlier than you would like, given what the day before. But where are you at?
So Viorica has never once missed the opportunity to go and dine in the High Hall. He is the centre of whatever sort of goings-on happen in the hall. He very much wants to be, well, as actors you'll know this, the centre of attention without being the centre of attention, if you see what I mean, which means getting slightly drunker than everybody else and having a little bit more fun than everybody else, but at the same time going, oh, no, please, after you. And yes, Viorica is definitely hungover because he doesn't indulge much, but when he does a little bit too much, and is now trying to help tidy up in this chaotic office and not helping at all, and has probably been told, can you just sit down and be still, by Cade, and so is therefore sitting there waiting, slightly sort of like, I'm so sorry to have caused offence.
Of the places you could sit in this office, you've either got like the sort of the other side of Cade's desk. Cade is sitting at their desk doing paperwork loudly from your perspective. You could sit there, or you can sit at this. Like I say, there's a sort of table that has been set up to host this meeting, currently unoccupied. So you could choose your preferred spot.
I'm going to go as close to the head of the table as I can.
Yeah, no one's sitting there yet, so it's open.
That's what I mean. So, I'm here, so I'll take advantage and be like nominally the person in charge if other people come in.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Exactly.
Speaking of people coming in, so in fact, actually, yes. Could you give us a bit of a description of Viorica and what he looks like and kind of what? Yeah.
So Viorica is about 6'5", 6'6", very, very pale, with a long sort of mane of blonde hair, dressed in, I think the term he would go for is faded grandeur. So in a sort of well-fitting, dusty black suit, as it were. He doesn't really have many changes of clothes, and he has a walking stick, which is completely unnecessary, but he has it anyway. And is very sort of, looks human, but there's definitely something of the elf around the ears. Is trying to work on this, but looks unintentionally like he always has a bad smell under his nose. That's pretty much the thing. Great.
And walking into that scene, again, Cade's still pretty much comfortable ignoring you, just doing paperwork at their desk. Barda, you are the next to arrive at the meeting so far. You walk through the door and you see, as described, this sort of, you've been in the office a few times, you know the chaos that it normally is. There's definitely this area that's been like pretty much shoveled clear to make space. You come in and see Viorica. You two may know each other from being around, so go ahead, yes.
Whatever happens, Viorica gets up and does an extravagant bow in your direction. Hello, welcome, please do come in, take a seat.
Hi, what was it again?
My name? Viorica Eordash.
She holds out a hand to shake.
He takes it and tries to sort of go for the kiss of the hand, unless it's withdrawn.
I think you end up kissing her thumb.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Niall, could you describe who has come through? Sorry.
No worries. Barda is 5'11". She is a strong, athletic woman with long, dark hair that's tied up with an undercut. She's wearing breastplate armor and has a bow and arrow and swords and daggers sheathed around her body. She looks, for all intents and purposes, like a soldier, someone who is ready for combat. Dark skin, and across her left arm is a tattoo of black ink that swirls and changes into certain markings that aren't really discernible for anyone of common knowledge, I would say. And she looks bemused at this weird thumb kiss.
Yes. I'm so sorry, but please do take a seat. I believe we are the first here.
Excellent. Just anywhere?
Anywhere you wish, as far as I know. Looking to Cade.
Cade looks up from their desk where they're taking this. Barda, thank you for coming. Yes, you may sit anywhere. You are not precisely the first here, but there are others doing a brief errand for me. But please make yourself comfortable.
Nice to see you. You're looking well. She takes a seat. Thank you. And it's quite. It's not used to Cade complimenting her, so she's like, "Oh, okay."
So what do you? So Viorica and Barda, you've definitely seen each other around. Like you've both been in Cade's orbit variously for some amount of time. I don't know what you feel you know each other, or whether you this is the first time you've actually sat down in the same room and had a conversation as the sort of a somewhat of an unlikely pairing.
Yes,
I feel like it. Yeah, that's coming across.
Exactly. It's definitely Viorica is trying desperately to think of something to say, and it's not really coming out. So there's a lot of sort of, yes, lovely weather. Yeah.
Bart is like looking straight at him, like with the look of someone that's saying, if you've not got anything important to say, there's no point saying anything.
Exactly. So it's just a very awkward sort of, not unfilled, but it's basically silence.
After perhaps a few minutes of this, Cade will pipe up. If you would like something to read, you can help yourself to any of the books around the shelves.
Barda stands up and walks over to the bookshelf.
I think both of us go sort of facing away from each other, like, oh, thank God. And then just, I'm going to try and read something, anything, and not actually be able to read it. You know that thing when you...
it's going to be like the driest academic text you can think of. So you're just literally grabbing the first thing you can find, I think, or are you trying to dig for something, either of you?
I'm looking for a book. I'm not that perturbed by this awkward situation. I knew I wasn't going to chat to this man.
All right, and Viorica, are you just grabbing the nearest thing at hand and making sure you try and hold it the right way up? Is that about right?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, you definitely, like, the vast majority of things in here are pretty dry, pretty deep sort of historical text and that kind of thing, where it is quite, it's not the most riveting reading material unless you're very much into that kind of thing. Barda, would you make an investigation roll, perhaps? I think that's a good...
Good boy. Okay, first roll again. It's a 19.
That's auspicious. This is good.
Plus a 0, so it's a 19.
19, still a 19. That's nice. It's a somewhat. So actually, okay. What are you going for? Are you just trying to find the first thing that would interest you, or?
She's probably looking for a book that she hasn't read before when she's been in here about another plane of existence. She's probably just looking for a new plane to learn about and really get stuck into. The last time she was here, she finished her task. She read the book she needed to read. So she's like, right, I've got to start a new one rather than talk to this weird guy.
So you do find, fittingly enough, you do find something. It's possibly slightly... It is still very academic. It's very theoretical, but it's talking about the preponderance of demiplanes, sort of the functioning of these kind of parallel realms of existence that are not true planes in their own right, but yet have weird properties that make them
all about them.
Yes. So you have some familiarity with this, but this is more of like a sort of, I guess a close like real world analog would be something like an astronomical textbook talking about orbital cycles, like the interrelation, the connection and transience of these things in relation to one another. It is new information to you. It may or may not be like the right thing you're looking for. It might be more theoretical than you care for, but
I think she's into it. Like, more knowledge is better, so she'd take that down, sit down. She might look around for like a drink if there's one.
They probably will. Yeah, this is kitted out for a meeting, so there will be like pitchers of water in the middle of the table and glasses.
No alcohol, just water.
Just water.
She'll just shrug to herself, and then
it is relatively early in the morning, but
academic.
I said what I said.
Yeah.
Did I fucking stutter?
Yeah.
Are there any like plain dry biscuits there as well?
Just inexplicably macaroons, lads. You know.
Well, that's fancy.
Oh yeah, she snacks on that.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that and see just how many you've eaten in the interim. We will, for
Kicks
the time being,
up on the chair next to her.
Yes. Actually, yeah, Veronica, how are you taking this? Are you just, again, trying to like bury yourself and make it less awkward, please?
Yeah, well, just so that there isn't obvious conversation that should be happening that isn't. So as in, like, if I'm reading, then it means I don't have to talk, and that's good.
Perfect. For the time being, we will zoom across campus to the office of a different academic. 355. You are in Dahlia's office, which is a very different place from Dahlia's workshop. Everything here is it has a place and it stays there unless it's being used, and then it goes right back there. It's very like, it's sort of, it's more aggressive than chaos in some ways for how perfectly positioned everything is. You're sat at Dahlia's desk. You and she have been chatting about what is to come. She is aware that there is a meeting coming up soon to which you are expected to be invited. Do you want to give a description of 355 as we kind of
yeah. So 355 is a Warforged. Is about sort of just under 5 feet tall, and quite kind of slight and slender, but in a sort of gymnast kind of proportions, and they are them, and their kind of body is sort of wood, but it's like very heavily processed wood, almost like MDF is kind of ground down and then compacted, and so it's sort of like that, but it's sort of so dense that it's kind of tough to the point of steel almost, and so yeah, that's kind of like plates on sections of the body, and then all the joints you can see the kind of a bit more of the mechanics of how the joint works underneath and so on. One of the references in my head was sort of Pinocchio. That kind of like,
that's good to know. Yeah.
That kind of physique, I think. Yeah.
Great. Dahlia is sat at her desk. There is a single chair positioned centrally to the desk, slightly further away than is comfortable on the other side, presumably for whichever poor student happens to be in here at the time. Are you sitting? I mean, you can make yourself more comfortable than that. You know the ropes here. Are you sitting, standing? What's your disposition?
I could be standing, probably.
Right. Dahlia has been chatting to you. So I have good news, though. The meeting, I've secured agreement, I think rather against their wishes, if you ask me, but secured it nonetheless for you to be involved in the meeting and then perhaps onwards for the expedition.
That is good news.
Yes, the meeting, as I understand it, will be happening a few days from now. I expect we'll get notice quite late. They might try and pull some chicanery to get around us, but how are you feeling? It's almost time.
I know it will be a challenge, but I believe that, well, I intend to do my best, and that is all we can do. You taught me that.
It is all you can do. Do you feel ready. I mean, we can take another run through the obstacle course, or if you prefer. But
no, I think I may have. I've prepared as much as I can.
Good.
I shall continue to review through the texts, and we shall be successful.
I'm sure you will. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I'm just sorry I can't be there to see you in action.
I understand.
You sure you don't want one more go? There's a knock at the door. Come. A beleaguered-looking halfling comes in. About that meeting you told me to tell you about. It's now. Now. Yeah, 10 minutes ago, actually. I see. 3:55. How fast can you run across campus?
I will go as quick as I can.
I knew something. Go, yes. I'm sure this would be a very convenient way of the member getting lost and you not getting there. Go now, report back later. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I run out of the room.
Cool. Are you going the most direct route, just running that? Were you trying any sort of...
Oh, actually,
marvelous.
yeah, the most direct route would be I get outside and because I am, as well as a warforged, I am a warlock, a genie warlock, so I can fly as, where's the thing? Where's the con?
New character sheets. I'll let you find it.
There we go. My elemental gift is that I can give myself a flying speed. A number of times. There's
definitely a window in here. I'm just saying, you can take the stairs down first if you want, which is fine.
I'll go for the window then.
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool.
yeah, just straight whizzing. There's a reasonable distance between these two offices for political reasons. You can get there fairly quickly, and we'll pick up on that journey in a moment. In Cade's office, Cade sort of sits up sharply in their chair. If you two would be so good as to dash down to the deep archive, I think your presence there will be required shortly.
Okay.
Right. Good.
Bada closes the book and puts down and then turns to Bjork and is like, do you know where that is?
No.
You probably be aware of where. I don't think either of you have been down there before. This is definitely there's a. In fact, we can. So as you step out of the office, this is a good time to point to the. There's sort of a museum room, essentially, an exhibition room. There's glass cabinets displaying a wide variety of different objects. There's probably some reason that particular ones are picked to be displayed at different times. You've never ascertained it just by looking at them. It seems to be whatever Kay is particularly interested in, or just random things they pluck out of the archive. You were aware that there is essentially somewhat of a combination between the library stacks and a big storage room underneath this. You've never seen it directly because you've never had cause to go there. Anytime you need to access things, it's been via Cade. But you're aware of sort of like it's like a sort of service door on one side of this room, so you can head that way. Meanwhile, down in the deep archives, Veracity and Valka, you were asked to show up a little early to help. Cade asked you to show up to help Rory, who is a sort of essentially the archive golem, who is a sort of the administrator and keeper of all these things in their proper places. Cade asked you to assist with shifting some stuff around so they could retrieve something, because this is a vast space down here. So pick up with you in the archives. You're being led through by Rory, who is a fairly chunky metal mechanically type golem figure, who we'll cover what Rory's like in a minute. But if we give you a sense of what the deep archive is like, have you Raiders of the Lost Ark, the giant warehouse full of boxes? That's basically where you are. There's definitely some kind of organization system, but nothing is labeled. There are just somewhere between that and an Amazon warehouse. Like, they're just rows upon rows of these boxes. Would the two of you like to describe your characters respectively, and maybe we can chat about what you've been chatting around while this is going on, if indeed you have?
Would you like to go first?
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Veracity is Veracity Tallow. She uses she, her pronouns. She is much smaller than the rest of the party. She's only a couple of feet tall, so she must be very well acquainted with people's knees. The first thing you'd notice about her is that she is just covered in smudges of ash, and there are some burn marks, in her holes in her elbows, smudges of soot on her cheeks. She doesn't quite look like she's at home in a very well-heeled university. It's not quite clear what she's doing there, maybe. She is a gnome, and is currently, I imagine, struggling under a box that's almost as big as she is.
You haven't got to the box picking up part yet. We'll get
then
there.
She's not doing that yet.
And Valka is, I can't remember exactly how tall we said she was in the Hero Forge thing, but she's definitely taller than Barda, so...
that's how it's going to be, is it?
And I think she was like 6 foot something. She's a very tall human lady, she, her, Valka Heartsong. And she's also very broad. She is late 40s, early 50s. Dressed in kind of simple peasanty clothes, but they're kind of good, strong, sturdy clothes that cover and provide tactical support, because she's a womanly woman who has birthed children and has spent her life pulling farm plows. So she's got a lot to cover. And she's probably, as they're going down the corridors of this warehouse, just fascinated by everything, being like, oh, look at that. Oh, I've never seen one of them before. Oh, isn't this exciting?
Not really, no. It's just a bookshelf.
Well, yes, but look at it, though.
It's a lot less fun when you have to dust it.
Well, I can imagine that's true.
Sorry, yes, it is lovely. Welcome to the wonderful place off the Athenaeum. How do you say it, George?
Athenaeum. Well, how does Veracity say it?
I feel like Veracity's been there long enough that even she can possibly pronounce it correctly, just I can't. Yes, welcome to the Athenaeum. It is a place of majesty and learning.
You can save the Rita pitch, Veracity.
Oh, hi. I didn't do anything. Whatever it was, I didn't do it.
No. Valka's been here before. You don't have to introduce like that every time. It gets repetitive when you've heard it this many times.
But I didn't do it before, and you told me off, so I thought I had to do it all the time.
Yes, but there's a time and a place, and if someone's down here, they probably know their way around the place a little bit. Yes. Well,
last time you said, "Don't think, just do what I tell you." So I was just doing what you told me.
Still not.
Alka kind of leans down and whispers, "I thought you said it very nicely, dear."
So did I.
I'm so glad to have been landed with 2 excellent helpers.
You're welcome.
There's Valka, who's tall and strong and will help me lift all the boxes, and Veracity is also here.
I can make encouraging noises and tell Valka where to put things.
That will be very useful.
Well, fantastic. How much history do Valka and Veracity have in terms of? Again, all of the characters have been around this place a fair bit, like in different capacities, different amounts. But you've all at least seen each other, like you recognise each other, and maybe on nodding terms, maybe better, because if you've been here a lot, you may know each other better. This might be your first time having a conversation.
Probably, I think. Valka's done a couple of odd jobs for Keeper Cade, but she's still quite new. She definitely still kind of has that everything's very shiny and very expensive looking, and isn't that lovely kind of feel. She's not used to the place yet, and I'm not sure the place is used to her either.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we've bumped into each other once and started to chat, and then Veracity's immediately been told to get back to work by somebody.
And Valka would definitely, like, if someone started to chat to her, she'd be like, "Oh yes, tell me more."
Marvelous. As you're making your way, you've been sent here to get something specific. There's something buried in the back of the storage area that requires things to be shifted around because it's all a big stack and pile. Rory seems very clear on where you're going. What are your passive perceptions? Actually, I think that's
15.
18, nice.
18.
8. Wow, yeah. Very observant group, it seems. I think both of you will see this. It will mean something slightly different to different ones of you. You pass a pallet of books. Like Valka, it probably sticks out to you because it's one of the few things here that's not sealed in a box. Like there are a few things stacked around, but most things are sort of tucked away and packed and sealed. This is essentially a pallet stacked with tomes of various shapes and sizes. Veracity, you don't recall. You do come down here. You are responsible for cleaning very carefully where you're told. Like there are certain areas that are very definitely off limits, and yes, it is probably not lost on you that you've been brought down here with the others, partly so that people can keep an eye on you. This palette of books, something particular catches your eye about it, which is the book at the top is called Into the Heart of Fire, and it has a nice lambent glow around it that just. Something about it speaks to you.
Is Rory looking at me?
Oh no, they're making most of their sarcastic comments while walking forwards. Like it's very much just like they're assuming you're following them. They're not paying a great amount of attention.
Can I try and get the book, please?
Oh, absolutely. How would you like to try and get the book? I mean, Valka is possibly, but you and Valka are probably walking more parallel. It's up to you whether you're trying to hide it from Valka.
I will probably tug on Valka's sleeve and go, just
right, yeah. So Rory, what is it that you would like us to do down here, as fascinating as this play? And she carries on waffling.
Rory's so consumed with the opportunity to make sarcastic comments, having explained it several times, that will in fact make or I'll take a persuasion or a performance check, however you like.
Okay.
Bit of a chin wag check.
They're both the same.
They're both the same.
Either way, it's a 12.
Either way, it's 12. That's more than enough for the mood that Rory's in. Doesn't take this particularly seriously at this point. Yes, they will not pass up the opportunity to be slightly snide. Like they're mostly in a friendly way about your sort of somewhat reductive questions, but we'll engage you, and you'll probably, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Do you take that at face value, or do you actually trade barbs in some ways?
I think she notices that it's sarcastic. Like it doesn't go over her head, but she also is not offended, and it would, she probably would be a bit cheeky back. Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Rory Rory rolled a 1, so Veracity. How are you? What are you doing? What is your scheme here?
I mean, it's nothing very clever. Veracity is used to kind of being ignored, so we'll just take advantage of that. And once she's seen Valka do fantastic work distracting Rory, we'll just scamper, grab, shove it inside her coat, and then scamper back.
Cool. I'm not going to. You don't need a roll for that. The distraction has been so complete that there's no chance of you being noticed. You grab the book, shove it in your robe, continue walking, sort of scampering to catch up, as you say. There's something of as much as this book drew you to it, there's almost like a sort of gravitational pull. When you get a certain distance away from the rest of the books, it's like there's a sort of tether between them that sort of stops you short. Do you continue? Do you resist it and try and keep moving? Do you give into it?
Rory's still looking really distracted.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm going to go.
There's been no visual effect.
Back to the creative books and see if they're also all about fire.
Do you grab the nearest book, perhaps?
If you'd like me to.
Skimming the titles. No, you have.
Yeah.
This is. No.
Can I? If I can see, I'll climb up however high I need to see into the crate.
It's not a big pallet, but it's like you can imagine like a packing pallet stack.
So yes, lean over and just scan some titles as fast as I can.
They all appear to be called the same thing.
Oh, they're all the same.
Yeah, they didn't look like visually. They didn't look that way at first. Like it's not like they have the same cover and the same like design. When you look at the titles, they all seem to say the same thing.
Do they feel just exciting?
You were. Now you're possibly more worried as what will be the ink on the spines and the covers slides away and the books are suddenly blank.
No. What about the one in my pocket? Is that...
Take it out.
Yeah.
It's also blank.
No!
It gets yoinked from your hand by some unseen force, and the palette of books starts to spiral in a sort of book tornado kind of vibe. Builds up into the air and taking on a larger shape. The shape of I guess it describes the shape roughly equivalent to a dragon or a flying beast of some kind.
This is
So soon?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Welcome to Veracity's life.
As you come down. Well, okay. So Barda and Viorica, you're crossing the collections room at the same time, roughly as 355 will get there through the door. 355. You will know both of these people by sight. It's up to you to determine your relations with them. They are clearly heading somewhere. And you probably know from the intel you have from Dahlia, you'll know that these people you expect these people to be involved in this meeting.
Okay. If I see them heading somewhere, I will just follow them.
Sure. Barda,
not trying to be stealthy, but also not really engaging with them.
I was like, hey, how you doing?
Oh, you two.
Good morning.
Hey, hello. Very good to see you.
And you.
Max says hi, by the way.
Oh, yes. Tell him I wish him well.
When I get home. This way, right?
I believe so, yes.
Cool.
You head down the stairs into the deep archive. You get there, like unsurprisingly, this is what Kate was reacting to. You get there, you can see this form as it's still taking shape, this sort of wild swirl of books.
Holy
You're
shit.
not too far away. We'll come to that in a second, but I mean, it will be to the surprise of no one that we will roll for initiative, please.
I'm really sorry.
Here we go again.
It was quite specifically quite tempting.
I mean, I feel that George absolutely threw that at me. I take not much guilt.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Touch the books, Rebecca. Touch the books.
Touch them. It calls.
It would have looked different to different people.
George,
hello.
How long has it been since I took off from Dahlia's?
How long does it last? It's not been very long, but does it give you? Also, what speed does it give you?
It's a 30 feet flying speed.
All right, let's assume it's still running for the purposes of this combat. I think that's more than fair.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You I think a direct jog might take you about 10 minutes, but the fact that you can travel unencumbered by like physical buildings and stuff barring your way, we'll say it's still going. Let me find my cow. I'll get the initiative track. There we go. We get to see the
bring it on.
Let me just for a second. Clear the board.
Initiative.
And let me grab my encounter tracker on D&D Beyond. There we go. I'll grab all your initiatives. I'll just go in the order that let's put them on the list for me. So Viorica. Actually, no, we'll do it like that. It's easier. Anyone got higher than a 20? Yeah. Cool. What's the number?
Started very badly. Well, depending on how you look at it, started with a natural 20. So 23 in total.
This is very good. Anyone higher than a 15? Yes. Hello.
19.
19. Higher than 10?
16.
Oh, another 15. Sorry, 16. Yes. Higher than make sure I'm putting it on the right person. That would be helpful. 16 for 355. I saw a higher than a 10. I feel like I'm doing an auction now. 14
for Rusty.
And Valka?
2.
Oh.
2. Okay.
She's round the corner talking
Just
to
not
Rory.
You intended the conversation as a distraction. It has become genuinely. You've become
She's really invested in it. She's like, right, and what does that do?
Nice.
Cool. Okay, so as described, you can see this creature. We'll call it the tome golem for the sake of argument, but it's a flying swirl of books that describes the rough shape of a sort of dragony chimera type creature. It is clearly not an organic beast. It is some odd thing that's in here for some reason that we'll come to, I'm sure. Viorica, you get into the archive roughly when this is happening. You can see everything that's going on. I assume you've got enough elevation that you know the position of Veracity, Rory, and Valka, for example, but you're a reasonable distance away, say at least 60 feet.
60 feet? Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah. You can move.
No, understood. It's just trying to figure out what I want to do. And the answer is...
there
we go. Perfect. There he is. Okay, in which case... yes. So what I'm going to do is, with a sort of... I don't think, looking around to Barda and 355, I don't think that's right, is it? and then is going to call across the thing, casting a cantrip at the same time, which is Vicious Mockery. Now, will you settle down? That's the Vicious Mockery.
Wonderful. That's a saving throw spell, am I correct?
I believe so. Hang on. It's 2d4 psychic damage. Wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw. Let's roll that. That is a 7. I'm assuming that does not pass, so please roll your psychic damage.
And it is...
Counter tracker up. There we go.
Holy cow. That's 7 damage, which is nearly the maximum.
Nice.
Yes.
Any other effects on Vicious Mockery? I think there is, right? It's a minus disadvantage on its tackle.
Yes. And has disadvantage on its next attack roll makes before the end of its next turn.
Great. I will try and remember that. Are you staying put? You're sort of on the stairs coming down, so you've got a decent view of this warehouse from here. You're welcome to carry on moving. You're welcome to do other things with your bonus action.
No, I'm waiting to see what other people do. As in, I've said the Vicious Mockery, and so now Viorica has he's done his part, and therefore
right,
it's to see what else.
You're helping.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, next up, you can get to see what the people around you do. Barda is next. Where's Barda? Here's Barda. Another lovely Hero Forge mini on the tracker.
Awesome. So a big fiery dragon, yeah?
Big booky dragon.
Big booky dragon. Dragon. Okay. Well, Barda's gonna mark it as her favorite foe, which is a new Tasha's thing, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, does 1 extra d6 attack, and then I'm gonna bonus action planar warrior it. So it just changes all the damage. Sorry, it just changes all the damage to force damage, and then adds an extra d8. And she's just gonna pull out a bow and arrow and just take a shot at this thing.
Cool. Does marking just marking a foe doesn't require any actions or anything?
No, it seems to be
sweet
free action.
Marvelous.
It's not too bad, really. Not too bad. Yeah, so she pulls out her bow and arrow. She's like, fuck this shit, and rolls a 3 plus...
yeah.
I think that's going to work.
That's an 11.
11 does not. So this thing is it's quite dispersed. So you take what would be a good shot at it if it were a contiguous creature, but you just happen to get through a gap in these things, in these books that are flapping around, and pass straight through the middle, landing thunk in a box somewhere past.
What you're saying is the arrow shot was so strong it just tore through,
just straight through.
Yeah, I hear you.
Go with that.
Sorry, yes, you've done. Anything else from you? I guess that's bonus. Are you staying up on this sort of these stairs?
Can from where I am, can I see Valkyr and Veracity?
I say so. They might be a little bit obscured by, depending on what they do and where they're moving. They're possibly sort of slightly blocked by some of the stacks of boxes, but effectively, yes.
Okay, in that case, she'd start to move forward and start calling at it. As she's I can shoot twice.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
Extra attacks. So she's gonna keep moving forward, and she's gonna shoot again to sort of distract it from Veracity. And she's gonna be like, "Hey, you big piece of paper."
Sick
Not
burn.
as good as, but that's a lot better of a roll. That's a 16 plus 8, 20.
Oh, it hits. It's high enough. Yeah. Yes. Cool, please roll damage, and you get bonus from
planar warrior still.
Planar warrior and marked.
Gosh. Okay. I'll have to choke it.
It's almost getting to paladin dice sort of stacking at this point.
Oh Lord. I don't think we're there yet. Okay, that's 2d8 and a 1d6. Cool beans. That's 3, 8. That's 6 plus 8. That's 14 plus 3. That's 17 points of damage. Force damage.
Force damage. That's a good damage type. I would mark.
Rock and roll!
Fantastic. Yeah, so you start moving down the stairs, you take your second shot on the way down, and this one is successful. In fact, like this creature doesn't... It's hard to tell if it feels pain, but you definitely cause it damage. Like you spear one of the books, it gets broken away from the sort of... the dispersed, disconnected mass of these tomes that hold it together, and sort of you impale it on one of the boxes somewhere else, and such that it can't rejoin the rest of it.
Yeah.
Ooh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm just gonna stick one of these on here so I remember. So I'm looking in front of me. This next up is the creature. So it is standing over hovering above Valka, Veracity, and Rory. It is going to swoop down and make several attacks. First of all, from where it is, it's going to...
Distraction did not work.
Yeah. It's not ignoring you, that's for sure. But it's got a thing that makes it most sense to here. So it's going to essentially blast you with pages. It's the equivalent of a breath. This thing doesn't have breath. It's not alive in that sense. But it just forms part of itself. Like it essentially tears bits out of its own pages and turns them into this directed gust. That, getting hit by a piece of paper is fine. Getting hit by a lot of pieces of paper at quite high velocity, less so. So what's
Death by 1,000 paper cuts, right?
Yeah. I wish I thought of that. Yeah. Could the two of you? I think Rory's a little. Actually, no. No. Could the two of you, Veracity and Valka, make a dexterity saving throw?
Yes.
13.
13 and.
And a 2 again.
2.
Spin the die. Spin it.
This is D&D Beyond.
Don't
Can't
do
bin
that.
it. No.
Refresh the page. Thus generating new dice. That's how.
Get your
that's
phone,
how that works.
throw
Right?
it in the bin. Buy a new phone.
I'm going to use D&D National for this one because I've got to roll lots of dice at once.
No, you don't, George. No dice. No, just.
Does this attack count as an effect?
Yes, for the purposes of what is my question. I think it's certainly an effect. I don't know what,
advantage on dexterity saving throws.
Oh, in that sense, yes.
Effects that I can see whilst not blinded, deafened, or incapacitated.
You can make a second roll to make it with advantage.
That is an 18.
Yay!
That is much better. That is a success. So that is 15 points of bludgeoning damage to you, Valka. 30 points to you, I'm afraid, Veracity.
30?
Yeah.
Freeze it,
It can't do this a lot, or at all, very much. Are you still up? Yeah, I mostly end up playing characters that die a lot for that reason. How alive or not are you?
That was 2/3 of my hit points.
I'm sorry, I'm not raging yet.
Not yet. It is, however, going to take the bait. Like it's using that because it has an area effect you can use. Those of you who are there, it is going to head towards the source of the damage that it took, which was Barda. So it's going to head towards you. How far can it move? Actually, oh yeah, it can catch up because it's got a 60 feet fly speed. So it's coming for you.
Shit.
It's going to make another attack. It has disadvantage on this one because last one wasn't an attack roll. It didn't get disadvantage from the Vicious Mockery. This, however, is. So it gets disadvantage because of Viorica's Vicious Mockery, which turns that into terrible. It's not. No, it says 9. For its last attack, however, that's also a 9. So it's clearly pulled in lots of different directions. It's sort of, and maybe there's a disagreement happening between the books as to which targets deserve the greatest priority. So there's this sort of riven twisting of the thing, but it does cascade towards you, swings. It attacks with its body. It's essentially just whipping these books around, trying to strike you with them. But you're nimble enough to avoid that, and that is its turn. 355. You are next. Pop you on the track.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to shift that.
Wait for this.
Space. You have to move that. Go right ahead. Let me know what you do.
How far away am I from this book dragon?
About 60. Oh no, right there. It's moved to you, so you're within 10 feet. You're a negligible distance away. Put it that way.
Okay, cool.
I'll just show 355 minutes briefly because you've got this wonderful fire shield, but it's somewhat hard to see on the initiative tracker. From here.
Thank you. It is pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
So I would kind of take off again, and I didn't really describe before. It's little sort of jets all over my arms and legs, basically. They kind of like open up on the plates of my body, and that's how I fly. And I'm keeping a kind of 10 to 15 foot distance away.
Sensible.
Maybe a little bit more than that, actually. I'm keeping my distance from this thing. And I am going to cast Scorching Ray at it.
Sweet.
And yep. Which is 26 to hit.
That will hit. You will be unsurprised to hear. What does a scorching ray look like when you cast it in general? I guess.
When I cast it, it's scorching ray is so on kind of like the side, down the side of my body, kind of little compartments open up and kind of small missiles that fire out, and as they come out, they kind of burst into a little ball of flame.
Yeah.
And kind of whiz about a bit. Now let's think. Hang on, sorry. I get something. So I get 4. It creates 4 rays of fire, I believe.
That sounds right. You need to make an attack roll. Is it an attack roll for each one? Is it one of those? I think it is.
Oh, is it?
I'll check. Hold on. What does the wording say? It might just be that it's
You create 3 rays of fire and hurl them at targets within range. You can hurl them at one target or several. Make a range spell attack for each ray. Yes.
Okay.
So the first one was 26.
Hit with 1.
Fine. That's a solid hit. So you hit with 1. The second one, can you make that second one with disadvantage, please? Just because it uses its reaction to essentially flatten out. Like it's a 3D shape normally. In response to that first one, it jounces and twists and just briefly forms a perfect shelf of books.
So the second one, I rolled a 6 and a 20.
Oh, sorry. Got it.
So that third one. That's only 12.
12 just misses. Yeah. So you're probably still adjusting for its.
And then an 18.
18 hits. Yes. So you got 2 hits there.
So that's 2d6 each, which is 10 damage.
10 damage. Nice. Yeah.
Fire,
Again, fire works. It burns away some of the mass of pain. Like the key thing is, like, for all this creature is amorphous, shifting. It is still made of physical stuff. Like, burning that away, separating that from it, doing the damage that you're doing is wearing this creature down by just physically reducing its presence. Cool. Are you continuing to hover roughly where you are?
Yes.
Are you moving anywhere in particular? Yeah.
Just sort of keeping away from it, basically.
Cool. Yeah, it'll have to move to get to you, and it's got other targets at this point. Veracity, yes, fresh from being blasted by these pages. What's happening?
Veracity's changed her mind. She was going to do something much more conciliating, and then that happened. So instead, Veracity will just kind of cry out, "I was just trying to read you!" And she's going to cast Burning Hands at 3rd level.
Sure.
She's in pain, which looks weirdly spontaneous, accidental. She puts her hands up to kind of cover her face from all the 1,000 paper cuts, and then just a sheet of fire shoots
You're going to have to move to walk because it's moved to.
I'll skedaddle
Run
over. Yeah. Skedaddle seems to be Veracity's verb of choice.
Cool. You can sort of get roughly beneath it. It's come a fair distance, but it's not need to move the full 60 feet because it's come up to the sort of the midpoint of the stairs. So you can kind of get below it and then do your thing. Do your burning hands.
So the creature needs to make a Dex saving throw.
Dexterity saving throw. Let's see. My dice are not rolling very well.
Good.
That's a flat
Good.
Keep it going.
Fails.
Yeah, it sets a tone for the campaign.
Well, George, because it fails, and I decided to go straight for 3rd level, it takes 5d6 of fire damage.
That is a very spicy meatball.
That's good rolling. 8, 11, 16, 20 points of damage.
20 points of damage. That is excellent. This thing is hurting. This thing is it's not hurting. Again, it's very hard to tell what's going on inside this creature's consciousness, if indeed it has one, or it's just not a random sort of swirling pile of chaos. But it is clearly moving more animatedly. It is agitated and it is diminishing. Quite clearly. That was your movement. That was your action. Do you have anything to do with your bonus action or anything else?
Can you remind me spell rules? If I've done a spell as my action, I can only do a cantrip.
You can't also cast.
Bonus?
It's the other way around. If you cast a spell as an action, you can't also cast a spell as a bonus action. You can cast a spell as a bonus action, but you can only then cast a cantrip as your action. Basically,
Understood. In that case, I won't cast healing words on myself. I will just wince and look sad.
Yeah, that is, again, entirely fair. Valka, it's just you and Rory standing back over here right now while everything is shifting towards the entrance to the archive.
Did the creature target Rory at all with that attack?
It didn't. Rory's like at a range, and it would have done if it could have done, but it didn't. It didn't.
Right. Okay. And how far away has it gone now?
It's about 40-ish feet. It's a little bit up, so it depends on it. If you want to stand next to it, you're going to have to move 60 feet. If you need to be nearer to it, you need to move about 40.
Okay. So I reckon when it attacked, Valka was just in the middle of like talking to, like trying desperately to ignore that there was stuff happening and be like, no, I've been told to distract. I am distracting. So she was still talking to Rory, and then suddenly gets started pelted with this paper and turns around and like places herself between the paper and Rory, and said, well, that's very rude. And as it goes away, she's going to kind of assess the situation and be like, right. And she kind of, she's got a ring on her finger that she's going to kind of give a little rub to, and which is the ring of the ram. And she's just going to charge full, like this kind of spectral ram's head kind of appears around her, and she just kind of full body slams it.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's very badass.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm only going to use one.
Is it just straight damage? There's no saving throw. There's no attack roll. It's just straight.
No, it's just straight damage.
Straight damage.
Yeah.
How many charges are you expending? I guess that's
just one.
Okay.
Just one. Yeah. Attack roll. Oh, attack roll. It does attack roll, yeah. But with a +7 bonus.
There. Yep.
Okay. So that is a 19.
19 hits. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it hits 4. So that's 11.
11 points of damage. It's all adding up nicely.
Force damage.
Force damage. There's a lot of force damage happening, yeah. And
it's pushed 5 feet away from me.
Oh, sweet. So it'll probably knock it out of where it is. It'll push it a little bit further up, effectively. It's force movement, so it doesn't correct attacks of opportunity, but it's slightly further up in the air. And I guess it's discombobulating. It's doing that kind of twisty thing where it's trying to reorient itself. Cool. Anything else? Any bonus actions? You good?
I think because it's looking on its last legs, I'm gonna hold as is.
Okay.
Save the rage.
Save the rage. It's a very metal album name.
Yes.
Cool. Rory doesn't need to do anything appreciable, so is effectively going to take the dodge action. We are back to the top of the round with Viorica.
Having not moved, is the thing within 60 feet of him?
Oh yeah, it's moved closer. It's pretty much right there. It's got shoved a little bit further up into the air, but it is essentially hovering in the air, very clearly near you. This big.
Okay, so it's going to sound like he's repeating himself, but he's not. He's going to go, "Will you settle down?" And this time there's going to be the sound of a dolorous bell fills the air for the moment, and the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take 2d12 necrotic damage because there's a toll of the dead.
Toll the dead. All right. Oh goodness. Again, not my dice staying very much on brand in terms of the roll level. That is an 8.
That's fine. No, it's 16. Yeah. No, 15 is the thing. So that's 2d12. Oh, so rare I get to use a d12.
It's a nice dice. Yeah, it's an underappreciated dice.
Oh, 12.
Well, that's hilarious. I got a 1 and a 12, so that's 13 points of damage.
It's an underappreciated and whimsical dice.
Indeed.
There we go. I'll mark that off. Fantastic. Cool. That was your action. Anything else from you, Viorica?
No, he's so smug with himself by having, helped that he's just going to go, look at that. If this doesn't actually come down, he's going to be embarrassed.
Barda, it is over to you.
Cool, so this thing came down into melee range for Barda, right?
Yeah, it's been knocked up out of your melee range now.
Ow!
You could arguably jump and attack it, but that comes with risks. It's within ranged. It's within ranged range. You can still shoot without penalty because it's not.
Well, are there boxes, aren't there, to climb on?
Oh yeah.
can I use half my movement to get up a little bit?
Because you're on the stairs, you're kind of already above.
I run down.
You can.
I move down.
Oh, you ran up. Fair enough. You can get above it and go on the stairs in that case. Yeah.
Cool.
Or you can get the melee distance of it in that case by just standing on the stairs.
So as Valka like charges in, pushes, it was like, "Hey Valka, really nice to see you again." And then she's gonna jump on the crates, and she's gonna pull out a scimitar and cast Searing Smite, seeing the fire do damage, and then just gonna swipe at it twice whilst on the crates, like a swashbuckling pirate. Ha ha! Cross. Let's roll, baby.
Nothing screams swashbuckler like dueling a giant pile of books.
That's a 25 and a 16 to hit on both attacks.
Yeah, they both hit.
Awesome sauce. Right, okay, so that's 1d6 each, and then another 2d6s for fire damage. Okay, plus, what is it, 6 for my... Yeah, plus 6, okay.
Oh, plus 6, okay.
All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, because I rolled 3 ones. Plus 6, which is 9. Plus 6 is 15. So yeah, that's 15 points of damage.
Points of damage overall. Well, that's a mixture of force and fire.
Do you need specific fire damage?
It's fine. No, it is not vulnerable to it. Despite
it's its turn next, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
So it needs to make a Constitution save, otherwise it's on fire, and it has to take a D6 at the start of its turn.
All right. So it makes a con save immediately. Is this
on the start of its turn?
Searing Smite. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Which is unless I guess your bonus action is casting Searing Smite, so I will make that call. I mean, come on, dice, come on. That was it's 8 actually, but I'm guessing 8 won't cut it.
Yeah, it doesn't benefit. So it takes an extra D6. Shall I roll an
extra D6? Yeah, roll it straight away if it's at the start of the turn.
That's 3 points of extra fire damage, and she's just going to be like, "Yeah, burn, baby, burn!"
It is a flame, and this fire is spreading from this sort of bit you've made contact with. It's spreading throughout the creature. It's going to twist away from you, and it's going to dash. So you can use your action to make an attack opportunity because it is not disengaging when it moves out of your range.
Please, I would love to.
Right, go right ahead. If you're okay, you probably are. You're probably close enough if you want to make a attack opportunity with some kind of melee weapon. But
I don't know. No, this is the thing.
It's your jam. Yeah.
Standing back now, sort of. Oh, good lord! Because really thought you'd taken it down with that one. The creature down with that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's an 18 to hit.
Yeah, smashed it, and roll some more damage.
That's all max damage. 12 plus 3. That's what? 15?
That's 15. Yeah.
15. And she's gonna scream in primordial. Where do you think you're going?
Oh, it's going. It's in a bad way. It's depleted. There are a lot fewer things making this up, but it's twisting away and trying to just get away into the stacks. It's flying lower to the ground, weaving between these things, so it moves out of your immediate view. If you're up on the top of the stairs, you can see where it's just been. Go ahead, Ed.
Is this thing? This is a large thing that's on fire, and a thing that in the place where stuff is flammable, right?
Yeah, you don't know specifically if there's any fire protection things in here, but you don't know specifically if there are any fire protection things in here. Rory pipes up, "Oh, for the sake of the scribes, would you catch that thing?"
Okay.
That was its turn. It's using its action to dash. That's the extent of it. You know the direction in which it's gone, but it is broken line of sight with all of you, probably. It's not making a stealth roll, so you know where it's gone. You can, depending on how you're moving and in which direction, you'll be able to catch up with it. So speaking of which, 355, you're still flying. You probably have the best shot at
I was about to say, I follow it as best I can.
Cool.
Using my movement, using my normal movement, can I see it?
Yeah. I think you know where it was going well enough, and because it's flying close to the ground rather than going over, you even though you're slower than it, technically, you can draw eyes on it easily enough.
Can I see where it's going? Would it be an action to check if I can work out where it's trying to go to?
Oh, it doesn't look like it's heading anywhere. It looks like it's moving frantically around and getting. The direction it's moving is away from all of you. It's not trying to. It doesn't feel like it's intentionally moving towards a thing.
Okay. Then I'll use my dash to follow it as best I can, or as closely as I can. Yeah.
Fantastic. Veracity. It's sort of gone that away. It's gone a couple of rows over.
I would ideally like to be able to get within sight of it, but I don't have to be closer than 300 feet for what I'd like to do. But,
well, that's...
Yes. So if I can... yes, don't mind about distance, just a line of sight is important.
355, are you communicating verbally? I mean, are you communicating verbally with anybody? You don't have to. I'm just asking if you are doing anything to...
Yeah, I think I'm sort of shouting where it's... and pointing roughly where it's going.
Okay. Veracity, what's your speed?
Not much, 25 feet.
Yeah, it'll be a stretch. You can if you dash, you can get inside of it, but I'm assuming that doesn't play well with whatever you're going to do. Yeah.
So I can't get line of sight.
You can get line of sight, but it will take dashing to do so.
That's rubbish.
It's got a 60 feet fly speed and dash on its turn, so it's been able to put for those of you on the ground, it's put a reasonable distance in.
How many feet away is it now from Veracity?
I won't put an exact number on it, but it's fewer than 60 to be able to get visible on it, but more than 25.
But I have things where I don't need line of sight, but I have to be blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I see. It's for the purpose of that, it's within 60 feet of you then, so...
In that case, as in it doesn't say that I need line of sight, but I'm happy if you want to rule that I do for kind of obvious reasons.
What is it?
Casting a flaming sphere?
You don't have to... Ooh, I think the sphere appears at a place you can see.
It just says unoccupied space of your choice within range. It doesn't say anything about sight, but...
Then, one second. I'm pretty sure then that will be fine. Like, yeah, you don't have to see that to do it. I didn't know that about that spell.
I know.
So you're still guessing a little bit exactly where it is.
I'll guess, and I'm happy to make a roll for disadvantage.
How far can you move it? You can move it 30 feet in a straight line, is that right?
Yes. So I can make it appear 60 feet away from me, and then I can move it another 30 feet.
I was going to say you realise this isn't making the situation better than I realised who I was talking to, so... so you
I was
have a good
going to
idea.
do something sensible, but I didn't have that sight, so chaos has to happen instead.
You definitely know which row it's on. You can work it out pretty clearly from where 355 has gone. Like that's a freebie. You can therefore make this appear on that row. And then take your best shot at ramming it in whichever direction you think it's... You can pretty much put it at the end of it and then move it as far down as you can, and then that's probably as good a shot as any.
Hear me with your best shot. Okay,
please describe this. Please describe.
Veracity is just very, very cross. So I think she will sprint... she will just stand still, furrow her brow... Like she's concentrating really, really hard, and weirdly, it looks as though just tiny, 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 tiny little flames are just kind of coming from like the ends of her fingers, the ends of her hair, on her eyelashes. It's weird. And then simultaneously, 60 feet away, tiny candle flame appears in the middle of nowhere, just in the air, and then it blossoms and grows and grows and grows to create this huge spherical cage of fire.
Cool.
Nothing bit.
Yes. I'm going to make it's a dexterity saving throw if you ram it into the creature. Is that right? I'm going to give it advantage because you're guessing. That's about right.
That's
I think. Yeah. Based on my roll so far, you have nothing to worry about.
Ash Rebecca's back.
Yeah, one of them was cocked, which I don't think. No, okay, that's worse. That is 7. 7.
Yes. Okay.
With advantage.
Wow.
I thought it was just situational to your character who rolled badly. It turns out that you, George, are cursed.
If you point a camera at me, that's what it is, apparently. If you point a camera at me, my rolling becomes terrible. I'm sort of like a reverse quantum
must
thing.
have had a bad year.
I'm just checking how much damage I roll. Sorry, blah, 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 blah. That's if I trap someone in it. If I ram the sphere into them... Yes, gotcha. That's 2 6s, so 12 points of damage.
That is solid. You can't see the result of this, but it's not going well for this creature.
I would like to use my movement to run 25 feet closer towards where I just set fire to a library.
So you're pretty much within one, unless it does the same thing and moves a lot further. You'll be able to move to it next time and see it. Does it get trapped in the sphere when you ram it into it?
I believe it does, but maybe that's just wishful thinking. As any creature that ends their turn in the sphere gets trapped.
Oh, okay. Right. So right. So ramming it lets you sort of preempt that. It's a separate thing. Gotcha. Thank you. Next, I've now switched from using this to that in my head. Valka, it is you. Again, are you happy with where? Well, happy is the wrong one. Do you feel like you know where everything is and what the situation is?
Well, I guess I need to check. So it's 60 feet to actually get to it.
Yeah, if you move 60 feet, you get line of sight on it. I think that's.
Okay.
Right.
But isn't Valka closer than everybody else? Because it's gone.
Yeah, quite possibly. Actually, yeah, I think that's fair. You can cut through because you haven't. You did move closer to the stairs. Basically, you can dash and pretty much catch up with it, or at least get eyes on it.
But dash is my action, and then I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If I were to go 40 feet and throw stuff, that would hit, though, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go with that. 40 feet is enough, I'd say, rather than 25.
You move 40 feet just normally.
Yeah, she's got a long stride.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in which case she's going to recover from her ram, turn around, and crack off back the other way, and get within sight of it.
Cool. And when you carry on in 1 second, when you get in sight of it, you see that this flame. Actually, you don't know. You don't know that it was the flaming sphere. It might have been the creature that did this, ramming into things. At least one of the boxes on the sort of hemming in this row has been smashed. Inside, as you come into view, there's what I think best described as a scaly house cat, just yowling in anger, and then just curling up and going back to sleep inside this box.
Okay. But not like escaping from the box.
No, it seems to be annoyed at having been disturbed, but it seems perfectly content to remain within its box.
Amazing.
Okay. I don't think Valka cares about the chaos, to be honest.
Yeah.
She's not like prissy about, oh no, I'm sorry, we knocked stuff. She's probably more like running up, getting line of sight of it, and chucking her hand axes at it.
Ooh, wow.
Which I get to do, both because I have 2 attacks. I'm going to roll 2 dice at once. Now I have 2 d20s. That's exciting. Okay. One is an 8 and one is a 16, so that's not great.
16 hits.
Okay, fine. So the 16 hits for 10 damage.
10 damage. Noted. This thing is not long for this world in this form. But it is still up. Still on
up.
Fire. Still a big booky mess.
I think as she throws him, she's like, sit down.
Yes. Knock one of the books cleanly out of the air and send it spinning on the end of your axe over one of the shelves. Rory is next. Rory's like, what? Did the cat get out? Don't let the cat out. I'm coming. And starts like running around.
This is never picking.
Viorica. You're stuck on the stairs. You know where this is from up on your position. You know where things are happening roughly. You don't have a good line of sight on anyone in that secondary row.
So I'm going down the stairs towards the boxes. Is there a way that I can get up on top of the boxes, if you see what I mean, and sort of run along to try and keep it in that, to keep it in sight that way?
You can absolutely. If you can sort of go from the stairs to the boxes, if you like, and try running along that way. What is your? Do you have a bonus to either athletics or acrobatics? Do you have a plus modifier?
My acrobatics is better.
What is your bonus?
+3.
+3. Oh yeah, okay. I'll let you make a roll without using your action to do it, but they can make a roll. I was trying to see what your passive was with that, see if it was like good enough just to not worry about it. But for that, I think that's on the line. So make a check.
Unnatural 20.
Then you are absolutely fine. You just do a surprisingly graceful dismount off the stairs onto the boxes and are sort of just running along the top, following this pool of fire.
Yes.
Chasing
so
something
with fire. My movement to get as close to it as I can. Am I within 60 feet of it if I've gone 30 feet?
Yeah, you can from up on your vantage point. You can both see it and be within 60 feet of it.
Oh, now can I go for the hat trick? I don't know if it will be the... Okay. I don't know if I have to tell a joke. Basically, I want to cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter because this thing...
Yes.
So I guess there has to be a joke.
You can make it a bitter laughter. You can angle it how you want.
No, but it's the thing of kind of like... let me... Oh, no, I'm trying to do something on Burning Ring of Fire. But something along those lines is sort of... This'll water you down a bit, and then casting Tasha's Hideous Laughter. And it needs to be... Yes, Wisdom, 16, but it completely incapacitates it and stops it if it fails.
You won't be surprised to hear the results. It did fail. It's a 7.
Hooray. Hang on. So, is there no damage? I thought there was damage. No, it's not. Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just, I think, in that case, it just incapacitates it. So it's...
That's the key. So it's laughing however a book dragon laughs.
Yeah, I think that it
perhaps.
Well, it's still got some complete like it's now a big mixture. Like there's shredded paper that's still part of the orbit of this thing. There's individual pieces of paper that were ripped out and used as part of its special attack, but mostly it is books. So I think it's going to emulate the physical act of opening and closing a mouth in laughter. So there is this furious rustling and the sort of the sound of books slamming together. It is not a pretty sound. It is not a good sound. It is prone. It is effectively. It's still whole. I guess it's lying down. I guess the books make contact with the ground. And it is still moving, probably laterally, and that is just part of how it exists. But that is its sort of orbit rather than it taking movement.
Yes, and the other thing in that case, who is? He doesn't know anybody well enough. No, he's not going to do anything else. Sorry.
All right. Cool.
Nobody gets inspiration.
No, not yet. Sorry.
Barda, it is you. Are you on the stairs last, I think? Am I right? Yes, you were.
On the boxes.
Yes.
Cool. So I'm going to just, I think, use my full action to just dash past Fiorka and jump down near to the laughing paper thing. And
if you dash, you can get onto the same row as it, so you'll be within a single move next time. Yeah.
She's gonna run past Fiorka and just tap him on the shoulder and be like, "Good job."
No, in fact, that's my reaction. No, right. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Cool. It is the creature.
Let's take another.
Does it make a save each time, or is it still okay? So it's
I can check actually. I think it's.
I assume it makes a roll each time if it's in there. Yeah. So what's that?
Isn't it still burning as well? Don't you have to take?
That's for the burning. Maybe. Yeah.
That is for the burning. Yeah.
Does it get a save against Tasha's hideous laughter? I keep calling it Tasha's, but now that means something else. Does it get a save against that at the end of its turn, or is it only when it takes damage?
At the end of each of its turns, and each time it takes damage.
Okay, cool. But Niall, is it save again?
Each turn. Yes, each turn. Then Constitution.
I mean, that's not bad for me. It's a 15.
That is exactly what it needs, I believe.
All right, so it does succeed.
Bada looks visibly upset.
I guess maybe this fits with it hitting the ground. It's now effectively doused. It's extinguishing itself partly by being in contact with the ground rather than the air. It goes out. Unimpressed. It is still, however, incapacitated. So at the end of its turn, it makes a saving throw. I'm not going to dignify that with a response. It's still doing its weird pseudo laughter. 355. You're hovering in the air, sort of above it, essentially. You can see this. The burning. Actually, at the end of each of its turns, if it's still in the fire, I believe that it's in the flaming sphere, which it is, right? Because it hasn't moved. It has to. Does it make a save again, or does it just take the damage?
Let me check. Oh, I thought it would have moved.
Creature takes.
It has to make another dex save. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So. It's not
He's disadvantaged on dex save.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, good point. I mean, not that it matters, but yes, it's a fail because it's a 10.
It's only 6 points damage.
All right, that will give it another save against Tasha's, but that is after the end of its turn, which sort of does render that somewhat less. Hey, look who rolled above 15. That's a 17 total. With
no, that's broken it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's after its turn, so it is still in the same place. It is still prone. It hasn't been able to get up, and it is still in the sphere of fire. It is no longer. Wait, does it ignite again? If it, yeah, I'm going to say that it ignites again, but we'll cover that from the thing. A lot of fire. 355. You're still hovering in the air, broadly above this row. You can see this thing. It is a mess.
So I'm gonna kind of swoop down over it. With how big's the sphere of flame?
I want to say 5 foot diameter, so not very.
Okay, so I will go down until sort of swoop over 10 feet above it and use poison spray.
Right.
So it has to make a con save.
You're doing the right thing, all of you. You've picked the perfect tactic, which is doing as much as possible to make me roll the dice. And yeah, it's a concept. It's still 7, but it's one of its good bonuses.
That doesn't do it. So yeah, it's almost sort of crop duster type style.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of hover over and poison spray over it. So that is 2d12. So that's 14 damage.
14 damage. Okay, yeah. This is it's so nearly there. It's got a scant few hit points left. Cool. Anything else from you, 355?
Nope.
Cool. Veracity. You moved last time. If you move again, you can see it just using your regular movement.
I will do that for starters, please. And then I would like to move the sphere out and ram it back in.
I think you can do that. You have to. Does it have to be?
I don't know.
I think it's a straight. It's a straight line. I'll go with it. It works for me.
It is.
No. I mean, I'll go with it because it's still a straight line. I'm maybe revisit that in the future, but I'm totally fine with it now. I'm just bouncing this thing off this thing.
But
another deck save.
Yes, please.
Do they get? Is deck save impacted by being prone, or just incapacitated?
I think you probably get disadvantage, George.
Yes.
It does. I mean, again, I don't need disadvantage, but it doesn't. It's incapacitated against that. Prone is a different thing. I keep expecting this pattern to break, but it's not. So it's good. Enjoy it. I just need to scale everything up from this point. Just like adjust, like pay the George tax.
10 points of damage, please.
10 points. That does it. Does it. I mean, that's it. That's it. You roll this over, and this is you have the luxury of time. You just sort of can grind it underneath this until it's nothing but ash.
Amazing.
And quiet / the sound of crackling falls over the room again, and we're out of initiative order.
I thought you were just picking up a book.
Yes, Veracity! That was awesome!
Veracity she hasn't put out the sphere, she's just staring at it. And then when she hears her name, the sphere goes and she turns around and looks impossibly guilty.
Where's Rory?
Just walking slowly around, because Rory was sort of still in the point we originally got attacked, sort of trekking around all the way. Look at this. We've got some.
What's a cute cat?
Yes, I think I should just sort of picks up the smouldering pieces of the box, pats them out, and sort of pushes it shut on the front. It's much better this way, trust me. Didn't you have a meeting to get to? And we're going to have words with Cade about this. Thank you for your assistance. Names each of you. Go on.
We've not done anything for you yet, love. Was there not stuff you needed lifted?
Yes. 17th box on the 4th row, 5th column that way. I will collect the pieces of this thing and make sure it is carefully boxed up. Starts picking up scraps of ash. I think actually probably mechanically has a little brush or something like that that can take out of their belt and start sweeping up.
Rusty very helpfully gets on her hands and knees and helps him sweep up. Helps them sweep up, being very helpful.
They use a variety of pronouns. It's fine. Yes. Well, fine. If one of you could several of you could retrieve the box, we'll make sure all the pieces are collected, and then we can finally have this meeting before Cade gets upset.
17th box on the what?
17th box, 4th row, 2nd column.
4th row, 2nd column. And as Valka heads off, she kind of pops down, like pats Veracity and's like, "You're right, Poppet."
I wasn't quite. I should be used to it by now. Thanks for the help.
Well, you did very well. And
thanks.
Cool. You head, and we're going to pick up the pieces from this and cover off the long-awaited meeting and what happens in that. But first, we're going to take a little break. So join us in 5 or 10 minutes-ish, and we'll pick up from there and learn some of the reasons behind the things that have been happening and what is this meeting all about. Catch you shortly. And we are back. We will not explain what has happened for many reasons. Welcome back to the second part of the first episode of this magnificent campaign, and to these 5 magnificent players around me. We have had a bit of a throwdown in the deep archive underneath the Winterglass collection, which in turn is part of the Athenaeum, a sort of magical university in Elturel. That's the potted version if you're just joining us. The party fought a kind of wild book tornado that was usefully set on fire and then less usefully started flying around, setting other things on fire. But it seems like you have, and I say this advisedly handled the situation. So we'll pick up from there in the archive. You had been tasked, Rory the library golem had sort of handed on the task of recovering this particular box, which has some significance you expect to the meeting to which you are due to attend. Well, sort of now, but obviously there's been a stay in proceedings. What is everybody doing? So in the immediate aftermath, I'll just do a quick round. Just tell me what you're doing, and we can jump around and see what people are up to. So, Barda, what's your sort of what state are you in post battle?
Barda's fine. Sheathing the flaming sword into her scabbard, she sort of looks around at Viorka, who's still up on the crates, and is like, You actually did a really good job. I just want to reiterate that. I know I was rushed before, but well done.
Thank you very, very much indeed. There's another extravagant bow. You didn't do too badly yourself. I think you might have, I think I damaged it, but I think you pretty much took it out.
That's part of the job, my friend. You want to come down? I think we're going to head over this way. And she
very well.
nods at 355 as well. And I think Valka's gone to get a crate, is that right?
We'll come right. Yeah, this is like the immediate. So Veracity at this point, you were helping clear up some of the ash and pages.
Getting it more on me than in the dustpan.
Is that intentional? Is that does she enjoy that, or is that just a consequence of her general aura?
It happens, and she's accepted it.
Gotcha. Viorka is exchanging words with Barda. Valka, in kind of immediate aftermath, as things are happening, what do you do? Like, how do you react to the very tail end of the chaos?
Well, I think it is just checking to make sure Veracity is okay, and just still taking it in a little bit, to be honest, because as far as she was concerned, right, I'm here to pick up a box, and I'm distracting Rory. Okay, getting attacked, and right, okay, let's deal with that. Right, where are we? What needs happening? So yeah, it is just kind of taking the scene in, making sure people are all right. I'm gonna go get a box.
Fantastic. 355, you were kind of at the end of the battle, you were sort of hovering over the row. You're probably coming towards the tail end of your current flight allowance, but you can handle that however gracefully you wish.
So I think they would land on one of the kind of piles of crates that is the side of the row, I guess, and just be looking down and trying to work out what this was, what exactly happened.
Sure. So you're examining the pieces, as it were?
Yeah.
As it were, literally. You're examining the pieces. If you would be so good as to make me an investigation roll, that would be lovely.
Oh, that's a natural one, so 3.
Oops.
It's a lot of charred mass. As far as you can tell, this thing it was made of mundane paper, and some other thing was animating it. You don't know if that's true. That's your best guess based on available information. As you're examining it, Rory, who is with Veracity at this point, gathering in the pieces that are in the immediate area. What I don't understand is why it was unboxed. That thing's meant to be tucked away, on gestures and vaguely into the distance. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you now, Veracity?
I have absolutely no idea. We'd just passed it when I heard a noise and I turned back and it flew at me.
Insight check that.
Feel free to make a deception. I'm going to say deception or persuasion check. Feel free to make a deception check. I think that's we know what you did. 2022, you say?
Yeah.
15.
My passive insight's 17. Can I just leave that at that?
Yeah.
Veracity will maybe spot some people looking at her skeptically and then go, ow! As she feels the full force of her 2/3 health lost and go, could anybody help me?
Wow.
I apologize, I'm not equipped with any health-giving abilities.
How far away is everybody? Like, how far are we away from each other? Would Viorica hear this?
It's a big cavernous, echoey space that doesn't really have any other sources of noise. So I'm assuming all the noise you're making travels. You'll be able to see where they are. You'll probably be able to see the tops of their, maybe not Veracity's, who is both stooped and small, but you know where they are and you can hear this. Yeah.
Because he's an irrepressible prima donna, Viorica is going to try and sort of get to the boxes above them, as it were, and says, "Who is in need of healing?"
Rest will just look at him and go, "Ow!"
Perfect, the perfect response. And he's going to sort of daintily jump down and use a healing word on you. Now interesting. The way that he does this. Oh yes, he sings you a little lullaby.
Oh.
It would be something along the lines of "Sleep deep, sweet child." For there would be a sort of vague melody which would layer itself upon you. For 11 points of health to you.
Veracity says, "Gee, thank you, mister. I've never seen healing power like it." And then cast Cure Wounds on herself.
Oh. I think Viorica takes sass damage at this point, but yeah.
Yes, really, properly. And what were you going to say?
Oh, I'm really sorry.
No. Absolutely. Exactly the way to treat Viorica. That was awesome. He recognizes absolutely how much he just got burned, but tries to sort of throw it over with, "Oh, well, I'm glad I could help."
I heal myself the remaining 19 points.
Solid.
And if it is interesting, Veracity's healing looks very similar to all her other damage. She'll put her hand on all the different cuts and just little flames that look like they should be burning, and it does look like they singe a little, but then knit things together.
Like a phoenix.
Leave soot wherever they feel.
Explains a lot. Yeah.
Barda wants to walk up between, with her back to Rory, so that this is kind of hidden from Rory. She's gonna lean down towards Veracity and be like, "Did you start that? Was that you?" With a playful look in her face.
That depends on if you'll be impressed or angry.
I won't be disappointed.
You would?
I won't.
Oh, then yeah, I did.
Okay, we'll just keep that between us, okay? And she's
Yes,
struggling to hold in a laugh. She's like, yeah. Then she's like, "Yeah, Rory, I just saw the box fall open, and then that thing just kind of."
That box is meant to be on a different. It's not even meant to be on that row. It's meant to be on row 14 and column 7. It's not meant to be anywhere near here, and it shouldn't have. It should be sealed and contained. As you can see, we can't risk that getting loose down here. That would be ridiculous.
Rory, I think it's very unfair of you to accuse me when you know full well I couldn't even start to lift that box, and actually I stopped it from destroying your precious library. So,
Veracity, please forgive me for my casting aspersions on you in anything involving destruction of property or fire. Oh, wait, what's this for? Yes, please forgive me for my terrible indiscretion. I merely suggested that as you were the last one of the group, you might have seen where it came from.
At this, Veracity noticeably shrinks. She just suddenly loses all her, and she just looks down at the ground and fidgets a bit.
Barda's gonna get right up in Rory's face and be like, "Well, I just told you that I saw it fall, and I also happen to use fire and like to burn things, and I like to burn things a lot, Rory."
And can Valka be back with the box by now?
Yes, we will. Yeah, we'll come back to the details of the box. But yes, come back now. It's perfect.
Okay. Is it delicate? Is it all right for her to just put it down?
Yeah, it's. You haven't been given any specific instruction. The box itself you're bringing is relatively small and very light.
Okay, right, fine.
The process of getting to it involves shifting some bigger, heavier ones. So yeah, you can put it down.
So she puts the box down, and just as soon as Barda's done her threatening stare, Valka's like, "Barda," and kind of puts the box down and comes over and gives her a big bear hug. "How you doing, love?"
It's real good to see you, Valka. I've had a long journey, so I'm a little. And then she like stretches from the bed, like, whoa. Yeah, I'm a little tired, but I'm dealing with things.
How's that Roland of yours doing?
He's good. Yeah, he's with his dad at home right now, so all happy, and you know how they are. They're cute to look at. They're sad to leave every time.
They grow so quickly as well.
Are you telling me? Last time I was just holding him. Now I can barely pick him up. He's so big. He's really looking like his dad as well. Like really like boar-chested. I would swear in the next year he's gonna have some stubble.
You must be so proud.
Oh yeah, he's a good kid. He pushes my buttons, but what kid doesn't, right? And then she looks at Veracity like.
And Valka turns around and kind of hello to 355 and Viorica, who I think were less well acquainted.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think Viorica doesn't. I think he might have met each of you, but the problem is he's so stuck up his own bottom that he wouldn't have made the connection. But now he sees that this is a whole group together. I think he's going to try harder, but we'll see.
Good morning, Valka.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Yourself?
Not bad, considering.
Well, isn't this all very nice? Now, how about you? Now that we've sorted out that this was just a terrible accident of some misfiled boxes that really, who can say who's to blame? Certainly not me, certainly not Veracity, certainly not any of you. I will swear that in front of Keeper Cade. Perhaps you could deliver that box to them while I pick up the rest of the pieces of the possessed books and get them secured before anything else could possibly happen.
Can I get an insight check on that?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you trying to ascertain? What do you want to know?
I don't believe a word of it, but like, it's just the thing of that it doesn't feel like when a catastrophe like that happens, people tend to get angry. It sounds to me like Rory is sort of going, okay, well, all of this is fine and no one needs to worry about anything. I've only rolled 10.
You roll a 10. 10's enough for some information. They're not. You don't get the impression they're trying to hide anything. They do partly have this slightly staccato and sarcastic way. They are not like they do not mean everything is fine. They are slightly cowed by Barda's show, but also they're aware that no matter what they say down here, there are 5 of you who could very easily close ranks and I just want to sort out. They're cleaning up another mess. They're a bit exhausted by that, but they can't be bothered to play around in the blame game at this point. They'll enjoy far more making snarky remarks about it later.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Just gotta help themselves.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So provided there's no actual what's the word, mens rea, like as long as nothing's trying to be hidden, then that's fine.
No, it's mostly throwing shade.
Cool.
I'll throw shade.
Can I ask, Barda, what's your passive insight?
17.
You've probably noticed then Veracity is gazing at you with like hero worship.
She gives you like a little pat on the shoulder, like, come on, let's go then. You need help with the box.
Oh, I've got this.
Nice.
It's really light.
Oh, is it?
It's sort of like a long card box or something like that, or a sort of like a bridge set or something of that kind of ilk, made of wood. Much like the others here, there's a kind of packing crate vibe to it, but in miniature. The difficult
relatable object.
Yeah, yes. As I was saying it, I was like, yeah, that's not gonna fly, is it? Yeah, I was counting down the seconds, but you know what I mean, right? Like a sort of like yes.
Bridge is cool. Bridge is cool.
I don't play bridge. I assume bridge is cool. I mean,
I do.
Why else would I know? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see. Yeah, like there was some effort involved in hoisting things out of the way because it was clearly sort of tucked between. It's in those kind of the bits between the rows and columns in a way that required you to do a bit of shoving to remove it. But you have it now, and you can make your way upstairs if you wish.
Yep, I'm ready.
Cool. You pass back through the collection room. Again, various objects on display, back into Cade's office, which is just off this thing. It is, I mean, the two of you who were here before, it is much as you left it, except with the addition of a dwarf, dressed in you know that kind of like sort of 1930s explorer vibe, that kind of like
Yes.
lots of pouches, lots of big khaki skirt, which is less that vibe, I guess, but that kind of thing. Again, they're not wearing the hat. He's not wearing the hat, but you start looking at them. Yeah, maybe not the helmet, but you start looking around the room to see if their hat is hanging somewhere. Like it's such a part of the ensemble that it's conspicuous by its absence.
Does he have goggles?
Hello. No. Glasses actually, yeah. Cade is still at Cade's desk. This dwarf is sat at the conference table. He's like setting out some papers. There's also a little, in addition to what was here before for Barda and Bjorka, there is a little stand with a sort of clear sheet hanging from it at one end of the table against the wall.
Amazing.
Cade looks up as you enter. I trust all is well in the archives?
Nothing went wrong at all. We had a momentary issue, but it's all cleared up now. You can talk to Rory about it, I hope.
He's pretty disgruntled. Apparently some things were out of place, but we've got the box.
Good. That seems good. Anyway, well, if you would all... 355, what's your passive insight? I mean, this is for anyone, to be fair, but particularly 355. 13.
Mine's 18, if that helps.
You definitely notice this. There's like the slightest stumble as Cade's eyes pass over 355. They do not acknowledge it. They do not like call it out, but there's like, oh yeah, you're here, are you?
Interesting.
It's a snag, and they're pretty good at hiding their reaction. But you definitely notice that like the processing, like yes, this is not the situation I expected to be facing. Oh, well, if you would be so good as to take a seat. This is Torsten. Hello, Torsten Brittlehusk. How are you?
Very well. Nice to meet you, Torsten.
Comes round and ebulliently will shake all of you by the hand if you're permitting.
Oh, like the handshake between them and Valka is like vigorous.
It's probably loads of bouncing towards the ceiling by how much that's through. Yeah. We'll greet each of you by name. Actually, Valka, Veracity, Barda, 355. 355, excellent. Viorica, yes.
Dance, yeah.
Good, yes, well. Wonderful to see you all. Pours a big drink of water, downs it, pours another. Like it's like got that jittery energy of like either kids' day at the toy shop or like the big presentation day. That's the kind of like that's the vibe you're getting. Torsten is one of my grad student is perhaps a diminishing way of putting it, but Torsten, he is the foremost expert in the field of study as to what we will be discussing. He will be doing much of the talking about the specifics of this. Cool. Are you all taking a seat? Currently, the conference, all the seats are currently up for grab. Torsten is like taking a spot near the one of the heads of the table where Viorica probably was sat before. Is now like there are papers. Yeah. There is another end of the table, but I guess this is you do not get the impression that this is a slight as much as a practicality as to the stand and the papers.
Barda's going to take her seat, which was the other side of the table from where Viorica was sitting.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay.
And with the water that's still there, and just going to sip on that.
And Viorica is going to notice this and try and sort of, I see, and then try and walk to the other end of the table and take the other end, but won't go in front of anybody else.
Right, the rest of you, are you just piling in there, or are you just being... how much politics are we playing with the choices?
Barda's not doing it politically, that's just where she was sat. Like, she's just sitting where her glass of water is.
You've not doing it with like, this situation.
Someone.
And you love it. We play D&D for escapism, where you get to do things like picking the politically best seat in a meeting room. How's that? How's that for escapism?
Viorica is all about this.
Well, none of us have been in a meeting room for years. So.
That's true. Yeah, welcome to this magnificent fantasy world.
Veracity is waiting because she can't quite believe she's allowed to sit down at the table, and so will be hovering. And if there's very clearly a chair that is left and no one else is sitting in, she will take that chair.
I imagine that whichever seat is closest to the plate of biscuits.
We didn't cover how many macaroons Barda got through before. I feel like now is a good time for Valka to discover that.
I got Constitution of +1, so more than average.
more than an average number of macaroons would be consumed, but there is still plenty left.
Okay. So she would like make a beeline for that chair, but also like pull back the chair next to it and kind of nod to Veracity and say, "Come on, pop it," and then take a fistful of macaroons and kind of examine, because it's fancy food that she has not seen before, but she knows it's food. So
excellent. Veracity, taking that seat, buddy up.
Yes, and we'll
Marvelous.
take all the yellow macaroons.
I knew there would be someone who would just color coordinate it. 355.
355
yes.
Waits to see where everybody else is sitting, just waits, and then once it's clear everybody else has picked a seat, 355 just goes for another one.
Cool.
Not anyone in
That's
particular.
nice.
Just...
All right. Making as few statements as possible. Cade stands up. You say you sat at the other head of the table? I can't remember if you. Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Cade will hover behind you, not pointedly. It's not like you've taken their spot, but they're clearly like addressing the room from this angle. Sort of look at this. They walk around to where Torsten's kind of little setup is. Cade, remember, is a gnome, very elderly, has that kind of like, is properly like bowed from age kind of elderly. Yeah. You don't know exactly how old they are, but they've been, like, gnomes live a long time comparatively speaking to most character races, and they've been around, probably mostly here as far as you're aware, but they've been around. They're not a commanding presence, but they are used to addressing rooms of people, I guess. So I have called you here because you each possess some considerable skills. You all know who I am. I certainly know who you are. I believe some of you may know each other. Perhaps a show of hands if you think introductions are in order.
I'd still like to know more about you. And she nods at Viorica and possibly offers one of the macaroons that's in her hand.
Yeah, you're too kind. I will refuse at the moment. I feel we have a lot to be getting on with, but I wouldn't mind an introduction to
Fair enough.
everybody. I believe we have all seen each other before, but I have not been properly introduced to anyone.
Well, I'm 355.
There you go. 355 who is here.
Hand out to shake your hand.
Introducing themselves.
Very good. Yes, and then I try and make it formal, but I assume you're not being formal at all, and it'll just be, carry on.
Valka. You can call me Val if you like, though.
Valka seems a wonderful name.
And Veracity, I live here. Hello.
Yes, yes. Very good to see you, my dear, and I'm glad we're working together.
Me too.
Wow, this is gonna look like, am I meant to reintroduce myself? This is like...
And yes, I believe you have already encountered Bada before the meeting, but perhaps in an official capacity it would break the ice for you to speak to one another.
I'm Barda Tana. And she just shrugs.
That's very formal. Well done.
I kill things and
Good.
close things. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. I thought you did an excellent job down in the... Anyway, yes, moving on.
An eloquent, if humble introduction, Bada. Well, some of you will have worked for me and my department in this capacity before, in the retrievals work, expanding the collection, pursuing leads for difficult to acquire artifacts. Others of you have not as yet, but I have, in consideration of the scope of the task we face, consider you positive additions to the team. Some of you are here by my request. Others are here because Torsten has reviewed your files and thought you suitable. Kate pointedly looks at no one in the room. But regardless, you are all here. Wonderful. Well, Torsten, perhaps you should do the general overview. Wonderful. Sorry, just two more opposing energies were never found. So, yes, like I said, I'm Torsten. Okay, just like slinks to one side or shuffles over. This expedition is, well, I'll be leading it. It's perhaps, from what I understand of the work you've done for Cade, this will be perhaps grander in scope. It's more of a sort of a big field expedition trying to recover a very important and powerful artifact that could really change the game. They could advance studies by years we could gain from this. It's really quite, yes, like I say, it could change the game. How much do you know about demiplanes? Show of hands. Yes. Good. This is positive. Yeah, perhaps Barda, are you first? What are you a scholar in this regard?
No. I've had some first-hand experience with demiplanes, but essentially they can manifest themselves in multiple ways. There is possibly an infinite amount of them, and well, they kind of exist around our plane.
Bingo! Right on, well, not just this plane, of course, but there's sort of the whole cosmoverse or planiverse. Is that a hand raised?
I feel like we need to take a step back in the definitions, because as far as I'm concerned, a plane is something used for carving wood.
I see. Yes, that is technically accurate, but yeah, perhaps we can. Yes, that's useful information to calibrate this introduction.
I'm guessing as there are none here, you're not talking about. You seem to be talking about something else entirely. So I feel like perhaps we could fill me in on that bit first.
Right. Yes. I mean, no, I wasn't. None of you need to be experts. This is all. I mean, you're here because of your skills. I am here because I've been studying this for literally decades. It's much of my life's work. Waves a hand at the screen to cast a minor illusion that forms a 5-foot flat plane to form an image. A picture comes up that is a sort of an artistic rendition, like those old books on astronomy where they have these very like beautiful, intricate drawings of the solar system. This is the equivalent of Earth in this regard. It shows it more of a sort of elongated oval representing the material plane, and it is labeled as such. Here we have the material plane. Gestures again, and just this thing fills out, and the material plane is placed at the center of this vast cosmology, or this sort of collection of planes. And of course, we have here the inner planes, the ethereal, the astral, the shadowfell. They're all branches, mirrors, reflections that are defined in relation to this. And then we have the deeper planes, the deeper elemental planes, the divine planes. All of this is a well-established cosmology we've been studying for generations now. It's a known quantity as such as it is. I mean, obviously, Elturel has its own history in that regard. More recently, in terms of just gestures vaguely at where Avernus is on the chart. But perhaps the less said about us, the better. However, this is an incomplete picture. These are, if you will, continents. They are like. Does this resonate? Particularly looking at Valka, a continent.
A landmass.
Vast, yes, landmass, a vast landmass. It holds nations, it holds societies, it's a thing defined by its scale. But we also have islands and smaller chains and things that are they do not form part of these continents in the same way. They are smaller masses of land that share many of the same characteristics, but the playing field is fundamentally different.
I know what an island is, love. Yes.
Yes, forgive me, but a demiplane is to the plane such as ours what an island is to a continent. It is a microcosm, a smaller version. It has similarities, but it may have its own ecosystem. It's a contained form.
Right. Okay. I still feel like the definition of the word plane is lacking, but I think we'll get there. Don't worry. You carry on.
Think of it as like a desert plain or a grassy plain.
Can you define it without using the word plane?
No.
A contiguous pocket of reality. It's a container. It's a set of rules imposed on a physical space that spans a certain dimension.
Right.
Is this helping?
So, like, I've got pockets, and Barda's got pockets, and they're different pockets, and we could put the same item in those pockets, but not at the same time. Hang on.
If it helps, Valka, because I don't understand the contiguous thing.
Contiguous?
I think it's just, we have our bit of the universe, but if you turned a corner funny, you could end up in a different bit of universe. So our bit of the universe is a plane, and a different bit of the universe that we can't really get to unless something wonky happens is a different plane.
I feel like I've managed that on a night on the mead once before, but yeah, sounds okay. We'll go with that.
Torsten glances uncertainly at Kate. Is like, is this going well or badly? I can't.
I can get to the feeling of being on another plane. I'll tell you that.
Verasti is very proud of herself for demonstrating her extremely advanced learning.
As much as I would not have put it that way, I think it is an apt description, perhaps in a metaphor in this context. Yes. Are we all up to speed so far? We have this plane. There are other planes like it. They're defined by their size and their own set of rules and relations to one another. A demiplane is more like an enclosed thing unto itself. It can have similarities to some of these, but it's also a unique in some regard. Good. Excellent. Good stuff. Demiplanes aren't subject to the same rules. Some of them move around, particularly gestures at the illusory slide to advance it. It shows essentially shows an enhanced version of the same image, zoomed in on one particular part, where between some of these planes there is a little pocket of space sketched out. Flicks it again, and it moves in relation to it. Like it's similar, a stop motion orrery, if you will, like showing the progression of the planes and how they remain broadly equivalent to one another, and how the demiplanes move in different relationships. Like they can grow closer or further away from them. So demiplanes exist for many reasons. They can be the private sanctums of very powerful beings, or even many spellcasters of our own world can make versions of them, at least for a time, although they tend to be more temporary. Permanent demiplanes are rare, and they move in and out of phase with the rest of the universe. So they move closer and further away, so they can be more or less accessible at different times. Make sense? Fantastic. Well, this artifact. Well, we should talk about the artifact. Maybe that's the best next step. Gestures at the screen. It flicks to a sketch. It could be more than a sketch. It can be a picture. It can be an artist's rendition of this broadly circular, slightly clockworky, golden feeling object set into a wall with some broadly greeny blue light coming out of it. This is an artist's rendition of the Constant. It is an artifact of great significance to history. Any of you ring any bells to the Constant? It's not particularly well known, but I don't want to preempt any of you if you have. No, okay.
Can I do a history check?
Yeah, you can absolutely do a history check. You can make, if you prefer, you can do any of you can make a history or a arcana check if you prefer either of those. They are both relevant.
Neither are good.
Neither are
Not even trying.
No.
That's a natural.
We've got some. Is that a? Yeah. What we got?
That was a natural 20 for a 22.
Natural 20. We'll come to that in a second. Fiorica.
I was going to ask the question. Does it have anything to do with Baldur's Gate?
Not specifically. No, you wouldn't have heard of it by relation to that.
I think most of that. So I don't think I would be making it an insight.
Valka, against all odds, this rings a bell. Like you don't know a lot about it, but you feel like you've. Are you the kind of person who picks up books randomly if you're in the office or something like that? What's your most random way of acquiring information?
I think if she'd been in Cade's office, well, she has been in Cade's office before, and she's probably, if he'd invited her to look at the book, she would very much would have been like, right. Look at the books. Okay, then. And rather than actually searching for anything in particular, would have definitely picked one that has a nice cover and looked for a pretty picture.
Yeah, well, I mean, given that Torsten has written several books on this subject, and those books would be in this office, and clearly Torsten has a passion for graphic design, so like the book will be well designed enough that you might pick it up and flick through, and you've probably seen this exact picture, in fact, because it's in reproducing it. Even with a 22, it's sufficiently obscure that you've heard of it. You will know some of what Torsten's about to talk about, but unless you actually read the book, you would be, in very general terms, know it is a artifact of particular historical significance in the sense of it is significant to history, not just a piece of history, but it has a significance to the study of history in some way that you didn't really pay attention to.
I think she just probably kind of perks up, like she's been munching along through all of this and like leaned over to Veracity and been like, I love it when he does this stuff. It's very clever, isn't it? And then when that pops up, she's like, oh, I've seen that before. That's an old thing, that one.
I love her so much.
Torsten looks confused and delighted. Oh, you do? Wonderful. I trying to categorize where you fit in his head and is just not going to keep doing that because it hurts. Well, yes. I mean, as I'm sure you know, that the constant is it's an artifact that it's a powerful repository of lore into itself. It is both a piece of history and it contains more history. Like the things we could learn from it if we could get our hands on it, the things we could preserve for future generations. It would change everything.
Sounds exciting.
Gauges the general level of excitement in the room. He's like, this is his thing. He's really, really excited about this.
Yorika could not give a shit.
How's everyone else looking?
355 is looking at him, trying to give an encouraging expression, but not being like super energetic.
Fine. How hard are you trying? Because he's looking for a lifeboat here.
It's not like, yes, I'm interested. Please keep talking.
Barda, Veracity, how are you taking all this?
Veracity's not really listening. She's still stuck on when Cade said that all of you have important, valuable skills, and she's still trying to work out if it could possibly have included her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Smiling. Barda's smiling, and she's just going to say, so where is it?
Excellent question. Glad you asked. I'm sure it won't have escaped your notice that I talked about the demiplanes, and I talked about this, and I haven't made the It's in a demiplane. It's in a demiplane. This is why it's so important. Gestures at the screen. There is this sort of vague sketch of this, taking the sort of aesthetic design of these sort of the cosmology sketches. It kind of is a flat disc floating in space meant to represent a plane with just overgrown with trees and crystals and vines and all this. It looks like a wild magical jungle, and it's labeled in the corner.
The rest starts listening.
Is the hedge maze. It is, I think it's fair to call it long lost demiplane. Is that right, Cade? Yes, it is generally considered to be lost as much. Many people consider it to be a myth. That is how lost it appears to be. Yes, well, it circles the other planes. It's got a closest relationship, it seems, to the prime material. It comes by about once every 300 years. It has its periapsis where it moves in closest alignment to the planes. There is a conjunction, and for a brief window, I believe, if my calculations are correct, we can access it and get the constant. Wow. That was his big flourish. He's like,
yeah.
Well, that sounds like something we should do.
Yes, Viorka is going to pay more attention. He's not going to say anything yet, but he's going to be paying more attention now.
How long does this portal stay open for?
Well, estimations vary. It's an inexact calculation because it's based on so many different things, and we don't know for sure, having not done it before, but it's in the order of days, perhaps up to 7 days before it slips out of alignment. It may or may not be possible to punch through after that, but it's the time is of the essence. We have to figure out, or when I say figure out, we have to acquire the means to get in, carefully execute the plan, get out again.
And when's it meant to come about?
Somewhere between 3 and 5 days, depending on my calculations being correct. Yes, we have had less notice than I would have liked because, well, it's not an exact science.
Okay, I'm in.
I'm very much part of this. I would wish.
Yes, I mean, Cade has some more to say about compensation. I'm sure. I gather you have your own reasons for being here, but yeah, we have 2 yeses. This is good. Cade steps back from the middle. Yes, the collection has a quite large consideration available for those who participate in this quest. Monetary, of course, but I know that various of you have your own trials and tribulations. For example, veracity, or this would be considered enough of a service to cover the rest of your time here and ensure that you are adequately compensated for the time already worked.
I can go home.
If such a yes, yes, and be paid for the time you have spent here in a more considerable way. As Torsten has said so exuberantly, this is as you might say, a big deal. It is worth a lot to the collection, and whatever it is in my power to grant, I will see what the Athenaeum can do.
Fantastic.
When you say compensation, could you clarify in more specific terms? Only my granddaughter's birthday is coming up, and I'd like to buy her something nice.
I dare say that we could cover more than enough to buy quite a considerable gift for your granddaughter. If it is simply monetary compensation, we can pay in the order of a few thousand gold, or some item from the archives if it's deemed of suitable value in exchange, or perhaps the Athenaeum has considerable influence, and I have some small influence within it, so I can potentially explore routes of favors or other things if that is of interest. You are all here because we believe our projections indicate you will maximize the chances of success. So we are wanting to secure that.
Well, because like the minute that they said the 1,000, she was like,
yeah. The same with the Oracle. I think that really took him back. Like, oh, I see. Right, fine, good, excellent. Yeah.
What about in terms of helping with the actual deed itself? Will be
logistics. It will be preparing supplies. Torsten will be leading the expedition as the foremost expert on both the constant and the hedge maze. He's done many years of study on it, and while we do not know anything for certain, as I say, many regard it as a myth, it will maximize chances of success. So we will be putting together a full-scale expedition with a few support teams, the whole shebang.
Okay.
Sorry, I think 355 probably would have. You said Torsten's written a bunch of books and stuff about this.
Yes.
I think 355 might have read those.
Yes.
Do I know how to get what the method of getting into this demiplane is?
You'll know some theories, and you know that there are you can. I mean, you can ask Torsten as well. Any of you can, but you will know. Do you want me to tell you now?
I guess basically, I'm trying to work out what I know so I can decide what I would ask.
You would know, unless his mind has wildly changed since he wrote the last book. You have a good idea of what it takes to get into it. And I can tell you specifically if you want. That's just whether you want to.
I ask him if it's still the same.
As in, you are specific about what it is.
Yeah, I specifically ask, like, I don't know, something from his book.
So what you need, I'll give it to you so we can play it out. You need to go to a specific location. You don't know the exact location, but you know the type of thing that it is based on these projections. A resonant location that fits the vibe of the demiplane, as it were, and a key that is keyed to the demiplane, the hedge maze. You don't know the identity of the key. You know it's some speculation. You have some ideas, but you don't know what his prevailing theory would be.
Torsten, have you identified the key required to gain access to this particular demiplane?
Torsten steps in front of him. Oh yes, I'm so glad you asked. Valka, do you have? I saw you with the box. Do you have the box?
Yes, I do.
Yes, great. Puts it on the table. So, to access the demiplane, yes, you need a key. Very astute. I believe there are 2 particular candidates for keys, and I believe we have one of them. Right? Opens the box. Here, the box is empty.
Yes, of course it is.
Actually, no. I think he's looking at your reactions and not the contents of the box, because this is like his like escalated flourish, where he's like, "Yes, here it is. I see your stunned faces mean that it's." Oh.
Is it an invisible key?
Oh, of course it's not invisible.
Or maybe it's one of them magic ones where you have to you've got to do a little, I don't know, I don't do them, but some of the magic users do a little chant or something and it'll appear.
Maybe the book dragon ate it.
I think somebody stole it, guys.
Oh.
Wait, what was that about the book dragon? You surely don't mean the tome golem.
Oh, is that
How
what
do
it's
you know
called?
about...
Oh, we all saved your archive from them earlier.
I see. I now
feel like
understand what you
somebody's
mean.
probably been messing around in there and probably been searching through boxes, left that one open, so we had to deal with the tome golem.
I said Rory was very cross.
Yes, I can see why, and yes, Barda, your theory seems congruent.
Well, maybe he'd be less cross if he kept better eye on the archives.
Well, Torsten.
Boom!
Yeah, slam dunk. Is there any can any of you check just in case it is an invisible key? It wasn't when I left it here, but
I put my hand in the box.
You just gonna stick it.
I guess that would. I mean, make an investigation roll. I'll give you the DC is very low.
Well, how low's low? Because I rolled a 2.
Is that for a total? For a total of 2?
That's a total of 2, my friend.
Total of 2. You put your hand in the middle of the box. You don't think to actually you do that. You're showing what you mean. You're making your point. Fine.
Yeah. But it's like
search
just
the
put my hand in the
corners.
box. No, it's not invisible.
Torsten looks at you, rolls his eyes, just runs his hand around the edge. There's not much of this box for it to. Yes, it just seems it's shit. Well, there. Okay,
Has the key gone to this other pocket? Has it walked around a corner and found itself in someone else's pocket?
I think it's unlikely, but not impossible. No, the planar isn't. The plane isn't in alignment yet, unless someone were to intentionally do that. Someone would still have to have done this.
Better question. You said there was 2.
Yes, there are 2 things I have identified as possible candidates to be the key. It's possible that they both are. I'm not sure. This one was a little vial of dust, which clearly is not here anymore.
Oh, well, that's fine. I can go get a vial and I can put lots of dust in it.
A specific vial of specific dust, not a general pile of general dust. That would be absurd. I'm sorry. I'm agitated. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry.
What about the other possibility? Okay,
Yes.
We got something from the plane.
There is a crystal. It's I don't know if it's from the plane, but perhaps it is. It's meant to have some. The whole thing. The thing with planes is there's resonance. I mean, the big planes we can sort of just punch through with enough magic. You can step across if you're powerful enough, or use some other tools. But the demiplanes are a much knottier affair because they have a smaller resonant footprint. So it's about finding things that correspond to them. I guess spiritually they vibe with it. And the piece, yes, the keys, I think, are either, as you say, things from it or things that are in some way keyed to it. So, yes, there was a crystal. Last I heard it, a collector had it, perhaps it was in Baldur's Gate. Yes, it was in Baldur's Gate, but it was too much hassle. And after I got this, it seemed unworthwhile. But yes,
Well, we have the money, right?
we do have the money. If they'll do
Why don't
it,
we? Yeah.
Yes, I suppose I can make some inquiries. It may take me. I will be as quick as I can and see if I can reach out to some. Yes, Viorica.
I have some contacts, certainly with some collectors in Baldur's Gate, if that would help.
I suppose, yes, yes, we may be speaking to the same people, but I will make my inquiries and perhaps you yours, and that will. I mean, time is of the essence. So
can I insight check that? about Yoga having contacts.
Oh yeah, Ed, make it either persuasion or deception roll as you.
Hang on, sorry, I see. No, it's intended to be persuasion. Where is it? There we are. That'll be a 23.
I'm pretty sure I believe you. I got 16.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't bad, but mine was, yes, a bit much. But yes, so can I ask him for the details of what I'm asking about?
Yeah, let me give you a good description of that, because I have it here. So, yes, it's a sort of it's a crystal shard. You saw the crystals in the illustration. I mean, it's just an illustration. We've never seen the contents of the plane, but a lot of the writings about people who have supposedly been there refer to these crystal structures. So it's probably one of those. It's a sort of purplish, yellowish, orangish crystal. I can get you a drawing. I can get you notes. I can get you what I have. I had some sketches from when I was considering pursuing it, but it just we had a key right here, so it didn't seem important. And this archive is meant to be very safe.
Should we go looking for just in case it's fallen behind some shelves or something?
Yes, I suppose it would be prudent, though, for it to have exited the box and for the box to have been sealed. Was it where? Did you find it where it was meant to be?
Yes, it was behind some other boxes, but Rory pointed me in the direction, and I went on my own and I found it. So, if he pointed at me in the direction and it wasn't there, then it would have been in the wrong place. But as he pointed me in the direction and it was there, I imagine it was where it was supposed to be.
See. Well, perhaps check in with Rory and, for the sake of prudence, maybe examine the room. But I would not consider myself optimistic. I feel between this and the book golem, there is some evidence of another hand in this.
Yeah, who would want to steal it?
Who indeed? It's possible that it is sought by others. I would not have expected so. I mean, Torsten does publish books on it. It's not a secret in academic circles, but it is not a... I would consider it mostly of interest for its historiographic value. It is
but somebody knew it was here and they knew where to find it.
Yes, this is troubling. I do not publicize the contents of the archive, and I am selective, and I believed my security was quite good. Perhaps you could inspect the entryways, the site itself, the box, see if you can learn anything, though I imagine if they are capable of getting in here undetected, they are capable of remaining so. But
what do we all think of Rory? Bart is not even hiding the smile.
You are suggesting that the custodian of the archive, who's been here for hundreds of years now, perhaps had a hand in this disappearance?
Rory did give Valka 2 separate directions to the box. The first time they said it was the 17th box on the 4th aisle in the 5th row, and then when Valka asked for clarification, they said it was the 17th box in the 4th aisle in the 2nd row.
The DM have been busted for not remembering my numbers.
That was
well, I am sure that they were just confused, perhaps in the aftermath of the Battle of the Tone. They forgot which number was which.
Oh yeah,
Conveniently, that's where it was.
Rory did say they had dyscalculia. It's all good.
Not saying that Rory did it. All I'm saying is that Rory is the best person to know who might have.
Why don't you ask? Go on.
Rory's not my favourite person. They are very mean to me, but also they love the archives like a baby. I don't know that they would.
They did seem very precious over it.
People do crazy things over the things, you know.
I do have a question about the accessibility of this archive room, though. How many other people, other than Rory, are frequently in there?
No one is there frequently. I am down there every few days, but Rory handles most of the access. And it's not as if we have invited guests very often. Your presence there was unusual, in allowing it in a relatively unsupervised manner. When people want to inspect things, they make their request to me, and I decide whether to grant it, and if so, have it brought up and presented to them in a separate room. It's not like I have people wandering freely around my collection.
Well, there we go. You know, maybe Rory lost the key one day and just didn't tell anybody about it and found it again. I don't know. Let's just go talk to Rory, see if we can gather anything.
I think that sounds like a solid idea.
you go and conduct these investigations. I will, as it were, make some calls and then perhaps talk to Rory myself if there is anything left to talk to from the sounds of it. Oh, today is turning out to be quite difficult. What shall I do? Says Dawson. I don't know, just write a book or something.
Keeper K, could I have a quick word, please?
Yes. Would perhaps Torsten, if you maybe see about some coffee or something. Righto. Yes, I'll do that. The rest of you are free to leave and start heading down while Veracity has a sidebar with.
I'll catch up with you in just a minute. Are you sure?
Sorry, I didn't finish before you left. You were going to say something?
No, I'll definitely do it after this.
Cool.
Sure?
Carry on, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure you haven't made a mistake? Because the last time we had a private conversation, you told me that I was an unmitigated disaster who wreaked havoc with everything I touched, and it was no wonder that my parents had washed their hands of me. So...
I can't fault you on your recollection of precisely what I said. Perhaps it was a little thoughtlessly emotive of me. Needless to say, well, would it surprise you to have had someone speak up on your behalf?
Yes.
Oh, well, that is what happened. Someone has spoken up on your behalf, and
Was it Nolka?
I think you know that it was.
She's the best. Okay. I would say I won't let you down, but I might, but I'll try really hard not to.
From my understanding of the hedge maze, it is a place where some of the time, I emphasize some of the time, please do not take this as a license to run riots, either here or there. Sometimes unmitigated disasters of destruction are precisely what is needed. Just not in the archive.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll do my best, and then maybe I can go home. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
I will say many things of you, but I do believe you do your best some of the time.
I head out the door before I cry.
Okay, so the rest of you were heading down to the archives. I mean, in the interim, while Veracity's been having that conversation, is there anything you're saying or doing to each other, or are you just carrying on down and then Veracity catches up? Yes, Ed.
I'm going to be starting off by sending messages to my various contacts to see if they have any information. Not necessarily expecting anything back, but
Cool.
sort of send it out there.
I'll say you get you get confirmation of receipt. You get lukewarm vibes and the impression that they're going to make inquiries, but you don't get anything concrete now. We'll cover that later on. That's good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything from the other of you heading down, or are we just we're gonna regroup and proceed down to the archive?
Can we have taken the box, the empty box?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Valka has also taken another handful of mushrooms.
I'll hold the box then.
And is they're still offering them to the others as well.
Oh no, please put them in the box.
That would be, yeah.
That's going to be too confusing.
That's true, actually.
It's empty. No, it's not.
Is the key some kind of macaroon?
Rory, what do you know about this?
It was delicious.
God, yeah. Cool. Okay, Veracity shortly after catches up with you as you head down. Rory is pretty much where you left him. He's been floating around between that. Actually, probably moved back to the row where you originally were moving down, because there are pieces of this thing scattered around and in variously bad shapes. Like, it does seem to be significant that Rory collects as many of these as possible. That seems to be a thing, which has become sort of more difficult by the fact that some of them are shredded. They are characteristically muttering sweet complaints themselves as they carry on. They seem quite cheerful, all things considered, but yeah.
About to ruin that. At the top of the stairs, can I shout "Rory" and then chuck the box when they make eye contact? Chuck the box towards them for them to catch.
It's time to see. Let's see. Let's roll a dice and see what happens. I mean, it's fine. It's just mediocre, really.
For you, though, that's amazing.
That's a big step. Yeah, from where I started, that's a big step up. It's not enough for them to gracefully catch it or anything, but they don't get clobbered by it either. They kind of do that thing where you catch it, but you're all off, and they sort of juggle it, and they sort of it's the least graceful version of that catch possible. But they do manage it.
Has it still got macaroons in it?
It never had macaroons.
It didn't, no, yeah.
They didn't leave Valka's hand.
The macaroon box was not canon.
She does kind of turn to Barda and like, not seriously, like still with a twinkle. That was mean.
Oh wait, you wait. She's like winks at you. She's like, I don't think you realized that it was empty, did you?
No, I think it's fair to say that I didn't. This holds it up at different angles and just like checked it over. You didn't interfere with this?
No, Valka sorted that out, right?
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
I went to the place that you told me and I moved the boxes and I found it and I picked it up and then I brought it to everyone and then I hugged Bardo and then I picked it up again and then we went to Keeper Cade's office. If I'd have known that it was supposed to rattle because something were in it, then I would have said that it weren't rattling.
Yes, I can see how that makes sense. This is most irregular. I shall have to report this to Keeper Cade unless you already have.
He knows.
We already have.
You already have. I see. They know. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Right. Well, shall we check the stacks?
That would be a good place to start. However, one of the things that I want to point out was that you mentioned this, what was it, a tome golem?
The tome golem.
Right, so
the whirling tornado of books and chaos that was for some reason unleashed on the archives.
But it was in the wrong place, right?
Yes, it should have been filed safely away, most crucially boxed up and not stacked up in plain sight.
So where does that usually go?
I'm not going to use numbers this time because I've learned my lesson. Rory gives you a reference, grid reference in the archive.
Sorry, George.
No, I love it. It's fine.
I was listening.
The thing is, if you'd actually made that the real thing, that would have been such a deep cut. It would have been so.
I would have been delighted and infuriated, but mostly delighted. Yeah. Sorry, yes, no. Rory gives you the grid reference of the location where it should be, which is quite distant from where it was. Like it's not. It is not on the path you would take to get to the box that you were getting to.
But where it should be was that near to where the box that Valka got.
Not specifically. Like you wouldn't. I guess it's not a million miles away, but it's past it. Like you wouldn't walk by it from the way to the door between the door and the empty box.
So somebody went over there, moved that here, and then stole what was in that box. So they knew where everything was. Is there a list somewhere, or do you just know where everything is?
Well, Keeper Cade knows as well, but mostly they rely on me as a sort of external memory bank for these things.
Has anyone asked you recently where the key was and gone to look for it?
No.
Has anyone been in here recently?
Yes, the five of you.
Other than us?
Cade. No one else I'm aware of?
When
I insight check all of this.
That's okay. We'll come to the insight check in a sec. What G and Nat? What you say? G first. Sorry, then. Yeah.
Do you have any way of knowing if someone comes in when you were not around?
Well, in theory, I'm supposed to know if someone's in here, but clearly not in this case. What were you going to say?
Just when was the last time that you saw it intact as it was supposed to be?
4 years, 7 months, 3 days ago. That's when it was filed. Time. It hasn't been interacted with since.
But are you sure? That's quite a long period of time for someone to interfere with it.
Yes, that's correct. It's most troubling.
I would also like to insight check, if that's okay.
Yes, let's have those insight checks, please.
Come on, baby. Mama needs a 19, yes!
That's a D12. Let's not do that.
19
Wait till you roll worse on the D20. That's 19 plus 7. Wow.
26.
And 16 plus 8, so 24.
So is it 26, 24? Was that with others I missed?
16.
16. 9. I mean, didn't roll very high again. Theme of like again. Rory's reaction seems genuine. Rory is effusive in a very specific way, which is this sort of sarcastic, high energy kind of thing, but is not very emotive other than that. But is clearly distressed by this. Like this is news. Like you don't get a sense of chicanery or deception here, and is like deeply aggrieved by this fact because there's a contradiction between their memory of where things should be and how, and the actual reality that they found, and this is somewhat existentially distressing.
Massive cognitive dissonance. Sorry.
Yes.
If Veracity with her 24 Machine will notice that Rory is upset and will go over and pat the most sensible bit that she can reach and go, "It's okay, it will all be all right, and you shouldn't worry. But also, if you were nicer to people, maybe they wouldn't steal from you."
Yes, I'm sure it is someone that I have aggrieved and... Oh, is that you, Veracity? Are you confessing to something? Is there something you want to tell us?
I don't know, Rory. That depends on whether the way you treat me is the way you treat everyone, or whether you single me out for specific horribleness.
No, I treat everyone this way, more or less.
Then it won't be just me.
You're a douchebag 24/7.
Thank you for your contribution, Barda. It is most valued as ever.
Veracity's hero worship of Barda exponentially increases.
Wow.
Bard is going to go over to where he pointed out where the box was before it was moved.
Okay. The rest of you, are you grouping up for this? Are you splitting off into different things?
I'm totally following Barda.
Cool. So Barda, Veracity. Sorry, Valkyrie, you going with as well?
Yeah, I was going to, unless we think there's something more useful to do elsewhere.
Viorica and 355.
Yeah, no, I'm following along behind wherever the general herd goes.
Yes. So you were heading to the place where the box was. The box was found to be empty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I'd like to precede that with, before we start moving, Valka definitely would have been like, right, as entertaining as all this is, I'm not entirely sure it's very helpful, so let's...
And you move on out. Valka, would you put everything back? Like you had to sort of lift and shift some quite chunky boxes. Fine. So there's sort of two of them. Like they're sort of just in the corridor, the alleyway between, stacked out of the way because you've had to climb.
Sorry, I meant where the tome was meant to be.
Oh, okay. Yes. So that's further off. So you passed by that spot a little bit.
Oh, in that case.
All right, we've got a split. So
perhaps some of us should check where the key was supposed to be.
I'll show you.
Thank you.
Great thinking.
I'll go with Valka and 355 then.
I'll stick with Barda, gazing adoringly.
Cool. All right, let's start with Barda and Veracity. So you've got a little bit further to go. So you'll be together for a little bit, and then you'll split off. And then this place is huge. Like it's surprising. Even if you've been here before, you've been in the sort of the fringes of it, and it just does go surprisingly far underground. You make your way over to this location as advertised.
As they're walking, Barda's going to turn to Veracity and be like, I don't usually condone violence to my child, but some boys, they just need a real good punch in the face.
Is your child the little boy who comes with you sometimes?
He is indeed.
We play hide and seek. He's very good at it.
He tells me you're very good at it too.
Yeah, but I let him find me because he's only little.
Oh yeah, he's not that clever. I can say that of his mom.
He's great. I think he's very clever. He's just little. He'll get better at finding when he gets older.
Oh, totally. Yeah, he's just not. He's still. I find it hard, Why? He's an idiot.
Oh.
But I can say that I love him.
Okay, as long as you love him as well, then that's okay. Does he know that you love him as well as you call him an idiot?
I don't call him an idiot to his face.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Veracity's probably jogging to keep up with you for all of this.
Oh no, Barda's going to slow down. She's very, she's aware. She's had to keep pace with somebody smaller than her before.
You're a mum. Fair. Thank you for lying to Rory for me. No one's done that for me before. That was
It's okay.
very nice.
Turned out it wasn't a lie. Somebody had moved her there.
That wasn't actually my fault.
Exactly. High five.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Would either or both of you make a survival check for me? As you get further in, it is trickier to navigate. It is not difficult.
I have proficiency at survival if you want me to, Barda, or...
Me too.
Oh, should we do one each?
Yeah.
I'll let you help each other by doing one each, and we'll take the highest. How's that?
Okay, so I got, what's that? 7 plus 18 is 20.
25.
25.
I only rolled an 11, so I have a 19.
19. Well, it wasn't that difficult. So
can I actually be talking with Veracity through how I would track something? So it's like we are literally working together.
Nice.
Yeah, you can probably make interesting abstract because this is a very artificial environment compared to where you're used to tracking. But like a lot of the very orderliness of it, you can sort of point to things in the way it's like, well, in the natural world it would be like this, but as you can see here, there's this sort of emerging semiotics of this environment in a very different way. You find where you're going. Like it's easy. This is natural for both of you. It turns out. You find the site where this box should have been. It's in one of these sort of piles in the middle. It's like just set behind. You get the impression that a few things are sort of stashed behind other things, partly to make them harder to access and because they are less accessed. There is a notable sort of gap in the rough shape of the box would be a little larger than the palette you found the things on, but there's a space in describing that shape.
Can I cast Detect Magic to see if there's anything going on?
Yes, you can.
I won't waste 10 minutes doing it as a ritual. It's all right.
You have the time. Like, you're conducting a sort of crime scene investigation. I think if you want to justify
then I'll do it as a ritual. Great.
Hey.
I've never actually cast this before. What happens? You sense presence magic. If I see any magic within 30 feet, it will have some little flickery flamey things. And I will learn about it at school. How exciting.
It's one of my favourite spells for flavouring because you can you perceive magic, but like how does Veracity perceive magic? Like I've had people who like can literally see auras, that kind of thing. Some people who literally like some characters who have it by smell, like that kind of thing, or it plays into another aspect of them. So it can be very literal. You can just pick up the auras, but how does this manifest for you?
It flickers. It looks very gently on fire, like it is the wick, and there is a candle flame around it.
Great, and the color of the flame probably will correspond to the different schools of magic, because that kind of like there you can get different.
Sounds great. So I think Veracity hasn't twigged that. I don't think she knows what the different schools. So it's like, oh, that one's purple.
Yeah,
probably psychic.
Yes. Could you make this is nothing terribly scary, but could you make a wisdom saving throw for me?
I'm good at those. I have +9. That was a natural 20. So, wow. 29.
Yeah, or like you're. I guess it must just seem banal to you, or you just power through it. Like when you complete the spell, your magical sense just goes absolutely wild. Like
I am in a magic.
Yeah, you're like not everything. There are mundane things here as well, but this is a place full of magic sources that are. You can't see a lot of them because they are buried in boxes, which probably shields you a little bit from the effects. But you get this just oppressive weight. It's probably like if you perceive it as flames, it's probably the equivalent of standing near a raging inferno. You can feel it pressing on you, but you can't. Yeah, you can't see the specifics of it. So you feel very hemmed in. You're fine because you aced your wisdom saving throw. You take this in stride, which I think fits nicely.
I think can I flavour it as if Barda looks at Veracity, she can see in Veracity's eyes reflections of all these flames.
Yes.
And Veracity's just there going, everything's on fire.
Well, if you look at Barda, you probably see black flames surrounding her body.
Oh yes.
Barda?
Yeah.
Are you a magic person?
Kinda.
Like made of magic?
No.
But you're pinging. You've got the pingy pingle. Oh, are you wearing magic armor?
Kinda.
I'm going to stop asking questions because I feel like if you wanted to answer, you would give me a straight answer. But okay, your fire is cool.
Okay, your eyes are fire too, and that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I can see all the fire.
Barda looks worried for a second.
That's so cool. I love that.
In terms of what you're looking for, though, you start to filter out. Now that you're aware of this is here, you can filter that out a little bit, and you focus on the spot around. Like there's no residual trace here. There's no active magic anymore. There's nothing you can detect that seems immediately relevant to what you're trying to discern.
I can't see it. I mean, it's cool, but I can't see anything that goes, "Baha! Magic person came and stole a thing here." Sorry. Can you?
No worries. Well, you did a good job.
Thanks.
It's okay. You're a very talented young one. Okay. Gonna have a little investigation check.
Absolutely. What are you looking for? Are you just gathering anything you can? Are there specific things?
Literally anything. I mean, any sort of tracks of anybody like interfering that isn't what the usual sort of suspect, like this Rory essentially, or Veracity if they're down here with them.
Cool. Okay.
So any sort of like signs of other life forms.
Could I help you? Is that allowed if I go wriggling under the shelves that you can't get under, that kind of thing?
Sounds grand.
You can either make it with advantage, or you can each make one separately, and we'll take the highest.
I feel like you might want to make it with advantage, maybe.
All right, let's do
Okay,
it.
what am I using? Just an investigation.
Straight investigation roll.
All right. Oh, it's a natural 20 on the first roll, or a 14. So we'll take the 20.
I mean, you weren't going to do better, but so what's the is that flat 20, or do you what's your?
Yeah, I ain't got no bonus.
I mean, that's still great. Let me see. You do a thorough scout between you of the area. You can there's the slightly more obvious thing, and then there's the subtler things. The slightly more obvious thing is you spot, particularly as I'm not sure which of you this would be actually, but you catch a few not quite disguised footprints in the dust on top of some of the crate, like going back up to the top. And if you trace those up, you can find there is a very faint, like whoever does this treads very lightly because they're not clear impressions. They have slightly disturbed the layer of dust, and maybe dust has settled where it was a little bit, but there is a discernible pattern of someone moving around here, having moved around here. The subtler stuff is the little things. Like everything here is very neatly packed away, other than the things we talked about, which are out of place. In this area where the box was, there's things that are like pretty much millimeters askew. Like there's really small things that you go, it could be unintentional, but if this place is stacked that neatly all the time, then this is a bit of an aberration in that pattern.
So there's an aberration in the pattern around where the box was taken.
Yes. Like someone this box is gone. There's no pieces of it left. Someone's clearly interacted with it within some way here and had to like either bump other things or move them a little bit to get the space, that kind of thing.
Can we follow the footsteps around the archive?
Yes, we'll come back to that in a second. While this is
I was going to say, one thing that Barda would say to Veracity was she'd be like, look, I don't want you to think that I'm not, forthcoming or anything like that. I have, nature magic, and that's probably why I'm on fire. And that's okay.
We can talk about that later, because I have nature magic too, and I'd like to talk about it.
Awesome! High five!
Oh dear.
Does Veracity have black flames?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess you haven't seen yourself. You haven't seen yourself yet. On nearby, elsewhere in the warehouse. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the warehouse, the three of you are. Valka, you've been here before because you retrieved the box. The pieces that you've moved are where you left them. Yes, what would you like to do while you're here?
Well, I think on the way as she was leading them down the aisles, Valka would have offered the last few macaroons out, but gone to offer it to 355 and gone, oh, do you eat, love?
I do not. Thank you, though.
Would you like one anyway?
I don't know what I would do with it.
I just thought I'd ask. I didn't want you to feel left out.
Thank you. You are very kind.
Viorica?
No,
Oh, go on.
I assure you, I couldn't.
Are you sure?
Very, 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 very sure. Thank you.
All right, and then she pops the last one in there. And then
that was about as mothers as I think he's felt in years. That was lovely.
Right, so this is here. This is where it was.
I want to do an investigation check, but the thing is that Viorica isn't actually sure what he's looking for. I guess sort of footprints and stuff like that, but he's not
sure.
If that's cool.
Just any.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it came through in the dice roll. I just got a total of 8.
Cool. G, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, 355 is the same kind of investigating the area to see.
Yeah, you can make
anything out of.
You can help each other each of you make a roll, and we'll see if you beat an 8.
Yeah.
Ooh, 12.
Well, it's somewhat better. You have a scout around. You're looking there. It's harder to discern here. Like partly, I mean, because you've spotted fewer things. Like, but also this has been moved. This has been interacted with more recently than the other piece. So you're not sure whether it's whether the Valka has moved things or whether things were moved around. So there's definitely disruption to the order. You don't pick up any of the footprints, however. Barda and Veracity will follow. If you're following the footprints, folks, you'll come around along the top of the boxes. Like there's one point where you lose track of them and you spot them again across there. So either they've jumped quite a considerable distance or done something else to move from point A to point B. But you can pick up the trail and you end up pretty much standing over these folks at the bottom.
Oh.
Hey guys.
How big are the footprints, like between gnome and half-orc?
Fair question. Make a survival check, I think, for that.
Can I help Veracity this time and sort of explain just sort of what I would assume?
22.
22, yeah. Did you roll with advantage?
Yes.
Cool. I'm pointing over here. You're not necessarily next to me that way, but yeah, 22. The question was like this: like they are. This is a good question. They are smaller than Aaron. I'm just making sure I'm actually like talking not nonsense. They are halfling. 22, halfling sized. Big gnome maybe, but realistically halfling sized.
Veracity will pointedly show how much bigger they are than her feet.
I'd like to give Veracity another high five of well done.
Veracity has never received so much affirmation in one day before. It's a lot.
You're doing a really good job.
Cool. Anything else? Go on, sorry. Go on.
So are you.
Thank you. So we seem to be looking for a halfling, very deft of foot and very acrobatic.
The footprints stop here, by the way. They don't carry on anywhere. They just completely dead end, coming down off this box pile.
355. Do you know anyone in the university? I can't say it. I have an English degree.
Athenaeum.
Why could I not say this word? Athenaeum.
It's Greek. No, it's English word.
355 is like flown up onto the top of the boxes with Barda and Veracity.
Do you know of anyone in the Athenaeum who is an acrobatic halfling?
I mean, I'm looking at the footprints. Do I know anybody that's an acrobatic halfling?
Not like this. Like this is not the kind of shenanigans that. But you're probably one of the more. Well, I mean, all five of you are. But in terms of people who are regularly at the Athenaeum, I'm saying in different ways now as well. In terms of people who are regularly here, you are among the people who could do this kind of thing. But even that would be quite impressive for some of you. So it's not like there's no one that springs to mind if they do.
Most
They do
of
not
the
advertise
halflings
their
here
talents.
are less mobile.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to assume that this is probably a thief that's been hired by someone. So, I mean, if we're sold on waiting for toasting.
Toasting.
Torsten. Toasting.
Toasting or Torsten, that's valid.
Torsten to get in touch with his contacts in Baldur's Gate. I mean, we could go around the local area and see if we can hire a halfling thief. She smiles at you guys like, you get my drift. We're not going to hire them. We're going to find out.
Very clever.
Thank you.
Rory shuffles over. Just got word from upstairs. Apparently you're all off to Baldur's Gate and you've got a boat to catch.
Oh.
Looks like we won't be hiring any halflings.
And there is where we will leave it for the first session. Thank you all so much. Yes, so that was the first episode of Seekers of Elturel Buried. We've learned some things and have many, but hopefully many more questions to be answered down the line. Thank you all to the lovely players around me for all of their wonderful introductions and wonderful character work. It's been fantastic. Thank you out there for watching us on Twitch. Thank you to twitch.tv/D&D for hosting us. Thank you for watching us on our own channel as well. We have another show going on at the moment. We have Agents of the Nine Hells Redux, which is in our Tuesday slot. Which I forgot what time slot it is, but I believe it is 7 to 10 p.m. UK time. Yes, that's right. Yes, good. You can follow us on social media. We are on Roll Together RPG everywhere, so Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Obviously, you're here on Twitch with us. we also have a Patreon now. We have patreon.com/rolltogetherrpg. Join our growing D20 club. Thank you to all our existing D20 club members. Help us build that. Help support the show, get the newsletter, and build towards unlocking a community Discord server for the group. Thank you again to all of our lovely sponsors. Thank you to Hero Forge. We got to see the lovely miniatures. I'll put them out one more time. The lovely miniatures for the combat there. Thank you to Ultra Pro. The dice. I do not blame Ultra Pro for my dice rolls. They're fantastic dice. They look magnificent. It's all me. Thank you to D&D Beyond. Thank you to Idle Champions. You still got a brief snatch of time to get the chess code around the outside of the overlay. Thank you to Level Up Dice and Zavi.com. One last thank you to the players. This was lovely.
Thank you.
So and we will see you back again next week for episode 2. So please tune in for that, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, folks.
George.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.